Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hearthstone Trinity Series. It's a 7-week team showdown featuring some of the best teams that Hearthstone has to offer. My name is TJ, and joining me for week number 1 is going to be Brian Kibler. Kibler, we're here in the Trinity Series laboratory, or whatever you want to call it. Are you excited?
Absolutely. You know, we don't really have a chance to see team events in Hearthstone all that often. And as you mentioned, we have 8 of the best teams in the world to be going at it for this event, and a huge prize pool to boot.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited for it. It should be an intense 7 weeks. But let's go ahead and take a look at the format for the Trinity Series. We've started with 8 teams. They're going to play in a 7-week round-robin stage where all the teams will play every other team just once. At the end of it all, the top 4 teams will advance to a live finals here at the ESL Studios in Burbank, California. Well, they'll be competing for that big prize pool, like you said, $150,000 total.
Yeah, and half of that, $75,000, goes to the first place team. So there's a lot on the line for these players in this event.
Yeah, and it's just a unique event overall. You mentioned we don't really see team events very often. We don't really get to see the teams collaborate either. Team events, usually they play separately. But all these teams are going to be collaborating with each other throughout every step of the way. So it should be cool. But let's go ahead and take a look at the teams that will be seeing compete. We have some old faces here with G2, who was dominant in 2016. And we also have some teams with new lineups like Alliance and Luminosity, who picked up some players towards the end of last year.
Yeah, and then we have Complexity, Tempo Storm, Virtus Pro, who put together a really powerful lineup of players who met each other last year at the Winter Championship. And 2 of those players, Naaman and Dr. Hippie, make it all the way to BlizzCon. So Team Liquid and Luminosity G2, as you mentioned. So a lot of really heavy hitters as far as teams are concerned. And like we mentioned earlier, actually competing in a team format. This isn't just individuals who happen to work together. All these players will be collaborating on their matches.
Yeah, and for some teams that could be a definite strength. For some that we may see some clashing of different types of playstyles, but that'll be something that we'll have to see throughout the tournament. But you can see the schedule for the 7 weeks of play. Each team, since they play every other team once, they'll play once per week over the course of the 2 days that we have for each of those weeks. So it's a pretty action-packed schedule, as you can see, culminating with that week number 7. The teams are looking for that top 4 spot to make it to that live playoffs.
Yeah, and the prize pool, I believe, actually also jumps up. So even if they don't make it to the live finals, every win matters.
Yeah.
So it's a really big deal every week.
Yeah. But throughout the broadcast today, guys, let us know some of your favorite moments or what you like about the broadcast and what you like about the Trinity Series. You can tweet at ESL Hearthstone using the hashtag Trinity Series. I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams have to offer. It's a pretty crazy format as far as the individual matches go, which we'll get into in a second, which makes it really unique. But let's go ahead and introduce the teams that'll be competing in the first match of the day. It's going to be G2 versus Alliance. If I had to guess, I'd probably say these are 2 of the favorites coming into the whole thing. G2 because of their success, and Alliance with a new revamped roster.
Yeah, G2 is actually the team that won the Archon Team League several years ago. So they have success in actual team formats. Yeah. As we mentioned earlier, not a ton of team events in Hearthstone. So teams don't necessarily have the opportunity to really get that synergy going.
Yeah, and there you can see the match format. So this is, the important part of the actual gameplay. All teams submit 9 unique decks for their match, 1 for each class. Prior to the match, they will ban 2 of their opposing team's decks, and then they'll choose 6 out of the remaining 7 classes to play in the match, where each player will pilot 2 of those 6 decks. They'll then play in a best-of-11 match using the last hero standing format. So basically, the first team to win 6 games will win the match. But last hero standing, it's a format that many people who have been following competitive Hearthstone for a long time are familiar with.
Yeah, in particular, the quirks of last year's standing, like you mentioned, the class that wins, the deck that wins stays on to continue competing, and the class that loses is out.
Yep.
So you know exactly what you're queuing into when you decide what deck to play for a matchup. So it ends up having some very interesting dynamics in terms of both the order in which you queue your decks as well as just how you select your overall decks. You really want to have counters to particular strategies. You don't have to win with everything like you do in Conquest. So you have sort of pocket picks against specific decks that can really end up working out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but the one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing, 6 classes having to be played. So maybe some underrepresented classes, some underrepresented decks. But there you go, guys. We're underway with match number 1. Those 9 portraits, of course, represent the 9 classes and 9 decks that these teams are going to play. So we start off with a ban from each side. So let's go ahead and see what class the first teams ban. So Alliance has their Shaman banned away. But interestingly, G2 has the Rogue banned away from them.
Yeah, we're actually having some discussions, how often will we see Shaman get through? Shaman is a class that's generally considered one of the strongest, perhaps the strongest in the game right now. Rogue, though, in a great spot with the Small-Time Buccaneer patches aggro package, able to back up the Miracle Rogue playstyle. So after this round of bans, the teams get to do another ban with full knowledge of what class was banned away. So we get to see the second round here, and it will be Shaman and Rogue coming out again. So very similar strategy from each of the teams. As we sort of predicted, Shaman not making it through. And then lastly, we get to see which of the classes each team chose not to play. And unsurprisingly, it looks like Rexstar will in fact be hunting alone off in the corner somewhere, not getting any stage time. Yeah,
so of course that grayed out portrait means that Rexstar is the class that both teams have decided to exclude. So same bans and same exclusion coming into this one, which means we have the same 6 class lineups from both teams. But of course they had to submit unique decks for each one, so we may not be seeing the same archetypes or the same deck lists. So should be interesting, especially with the last year of standing format. But here is the team screen that you guys should get familiar with. This shows exactly what classes all of these players will be playing. So Scott will be piloting the Warrior and Warlock deck. Orange will be on Druid and Mage, and Powder will be on Paladin and Priest. And you can see the match score there. They just need 6 games in order to win the match. So I think Powder's got the heavy lift in there with the Paladin and the Priest.
Yeah, and for G2, it will be Tice on Paladin and Druid, Life Coach piloting Mage and Warlock. Who wants to bet those are both Reno decks, knowing Life Coach's preferences, and then RDU playing the Warrior and the Priest.
Yeah, no real surprises here. Tice, Druid has been one of his favorite classes for a long time. You mentioned Life Coach favoring the Reno decks. And RDU kind of just gets what's left.
That's kind of what happened in ATLC, too.
Exactly.
RDU, I remember actually in the going into the final rounds, piloting their aggro Shaman deck that just never got a win.
Yeah.
But they were able to adapt their strategy in sort of the finals and end up taking the title there. So they definitely are able to sort of, as mentioned, adapt to these situations and identify what's important in a particular match. So we are into the very first game. It will be the Paladin Mirror match. You see Tice from G2 in the bottom of the screen and Powder from Alliance in the top. And unsurprisingly, these are both anything can happen decks.
Yeah. So we do want to remind you guys that even though the player that appears on the screen with their camera is the player piloting the deck, but the players are in communication with each other, and Life Coach and RDU can assist Tice, and the same for Orange and Osaka for Powder. So we do want to emphasize that it is a team format, so we want them to collaborate and work together.
Yeah, we see the players talking right now. They're not just talking to themselves. They don't have a Bluetooth in or something like that. They are communicating with their teammates, and this is one of the things I think that makes this event so great, because you're able to get a chance to hear some of the conversations between these players and their teammates, and not only get insight into what one great player thinks about a situation, but what a whole team of great players feels is important.
Yeah, all right, so a Murloc Paladin Mirror to start things off. This is not a matchup that many people are familiar with, and I think both teams trying to test the water here. With last year's standing, if you lose with a deck, it's eliminated, and you get to choose what you want to counter your opponent. First one does matter though, because if you're going with sort of like a counter their deck strategy, of course you want to get off to a great start with a win.
That style does get a little bit tougher when you're dealing with as many decks as we have in this format.
Yeah.
When we saw last year's standing, say best 3 out of 5. You could often have, we have the sort of fair decks that go up against each other, and then one counter counters another. Now, though, with so many decks in the lineup, it's a lot harder to have that easy of a dynamic. But G2 here, Tice has the Acolyte of Pain, or he could just choose to trade and cast Solemn Vigil here. The Acolyte of Pain is not terribly exciting if he doesn't feel like he's likely to get an attack with it. We do see the coin plus true silver waiting in Powder's hand there. And just getting a chance to fire off your Solemn Vigils relatively cheap can be pretty valuable in the matchup.
Yeah, even though this deck is sort of a control-y style deck, it's more of a combo deck in the fact that in the mirror, it never really goes to fatigue. You know, both players are usually going to reach a critical point where, you know, they can set up a few turns to kill their opponent. It's gotten a lot different than it once was, you know, back when old Murkai was in the equation, because you can't get into awkward situations, especially with Finja, where your second Anyfin only gives you like one charger or two chargers, which can make things awkward later on in the game. So it can go to fatigue, but it's rare.
Although the dynamic also did change, not just with the loss of old Murkai, but with the change to the ways that Murlocs work. Now, your own Murlocs only affect the Murlocs on your side of the board. So War Leaders don't affect your opposing Murlocs. So the sort of raw numbers that you can get up to with the Anyfins is a bit different. So players really need to relearn the Murloc math for this matchup and just what game states represent lethal.
Anyfin still summons, you know, any Murloc that's out of that game, so you can still summon your opponent's Murlocs. You just don't get the benefit from Murlocs on their side of the board.
And here the War Leader comes down for Powder, and now Tice, looking like he's not really going to have a great opportunity necessarily with this Acolyte to pick up multiple cards. He could just attack it in and play that Solemn Vigil if he wants. The rest of his hand doesn't really offer a ton of options.
Yeah. Doomsayer really... Doomsayer is a play a lot of times you want to make when you're trying to block something. I'm thinking, you know, Doomsayer in this matchup might be used to play on turn 7 on an empty board or something along those lines to, you know, counteract it. One of the strong turn 8 plays that the deck usually has. It could be used right before you expect an Anyfin turn to, you know, either block damage or maybe dissuade your opponent from playing an Anyfin that turn.
It's often also just used after you've cleared the board with, say, Pyromancer plus Equality. You'll then play Doomsayer to effectively nullify your opponent's ability to play into that board after the fact. So Tice actually just picked up a True Silver Champion. It looked like his play was going to be just trade that in and cast that Solemn Vigil, but with that True Silver draw, he decides that he wants to fight back on the board here and take care of this War Leader. And yeah, this is a matchup that can go a very long time. So
yes,
both these players are settling in for quite the grind.
Yeah, Finja can speed things up a bit. Finja, of course, whenever it attacks a minion and kills it, it summons 2 Murlocs from your deck. So that can thin out your deck quicker, which can make your Anyfins powerful more quickly. But in this matchup, as another Paladin, you can always get to a point where, you know, you just don't play minions to give your opponent to kill and eventually wait to kill it. You know, it can be reached even when in stealth by, you know, an equality combo.
Yeah, powering up Anyfins in this matchup, too, is not necessarily even what you want to be doing because your opponent can just Anyfin you back.
Yeah.
The Anyfins count every Murloc that's died, not just the ones on your side of the board. So playing out Murlocs when you've sort of gotten to a critical mass of, okay, how many Murlocs have died, need to make sure, you know, that I'm not going to die. Well, if you add fuel to that fire and your opponent does have their own copy of anything that can happen, you can just get yourself killed.
Yep. Again, though, the math gets really complicated when there's Finjas in the mix.
Yeah.
Especially if both teams have played Finja. So there's 2 Finjas that have died, and then they play Anyfin, so there's 4 Finjas that have died.
In the builds of the deck prior to the inclusion of Finja, you're always guaranteed to get either War Leaders or Bluegills, which meant that you're either pumping your charge minions or you have minions with charge. With Finja now, there's a chance that any given Murloc that shows up is not either of those, which can really reduce your burst damage potential. So you really need to be careful about playing Finja, or your opponent having played Finja when you play anything. You need to calculate what the possible options are.
I have seen some Murloc Paladin matches that have happened where you only get 1 Bluegill. Because you can get 2 Finjas and 4 War Leaders and then 1 Bluegill. 1 lonely Bluegill. He still hits quite hard, but not nearly as hard as, you know, if those Finjas were War Leaders or if there was more Bluegills to begin with.
I think there's a video on Reddit of Day 9 who played against someone playing Anything Can Happen, and he had swashbucklered into the what's the Murloc? The Silverhand Murloc guy. Title Murloc, a title hand. That's the guy he makes. I forget his name. Oh, Vilefin Inquisitor. That's what he is.
Yeah.
What's his name? He got that out of Swashbuckler and just made a bunch of Murlocs the entire game.
Yeah.
The opponent Anyfins just gets a board of all 1/1s.
Yeah.
It was glorious. That's not going to happen here. No Vilepet Inquisitors, but...
Well, no, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up.
Move quickly.
That'd be the ultimate mirror match.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't be a tech card because you'd be screwing yourself
that's
over
what you
too.
play in another Paladin deck if you wanted to beat Anything Can Happen, because you glut their board. All right, well, it looks like Powder is going with the Finja here, and as we mentioned, this is a very interesting card in Ninja.
All right, well, G2's got some interesting decisions to make here, so let's listen in.
So they go ham on the Morlock package.
Yeah, but we still can a little draw it.
How do you like Doomsayer here? Does Doomsayer pass, or is it not good? Do you want to Ivory Knight? Because if you have Ivory Knight, he just 2 silvers it.
We never play Pyro Equality here, right? Never.
Oh, of course, why would we?
Let me think.
Yeah, like, is Doomsayer gonna work? You want a Doomsayer? Like, we don't even hero power with Doomsayer. I will play Ivory Knight here. And let him through silver it. We take 2 damage. There is no minion getting killed. No Murlocs out of the board.
Must move quickly.
Okay,
I'll
just play the Ivory Knight then.
Cool. Equality or rough? Or humility?
Definitely not humility, it's equality or rough.
I will pick equality maybe. We are forced to use the first one soon, so we will have to use the first one soon. If he...
One thing that G2 mentioned to us is that they all have very different play styles. So sometimes they said they might disagree on some of their plays, and you can see there with Tice wanting to play Ivory Knight and Artie wanting to play Doomsayer. But Tice is piloting the deck, so he had the override code.
Yeah.
So he slapped down that Ivory Knight.
Interestingly, we didn't hear a word from Life Coach. I wonder if
he was still thinking.
The rope was not far enough down for him to have formulated an opinion yet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of funny. But they did pick up an equality, so that means they now have 3 qualities, and Alliance has been given that information. They did see that it was a heal for 2. There's not too many options. It could be equality, it could be Holy Light, it could be the stand...
Light in the Darkness.
Light in the Darkness. I was going to say Stand in the Darkness. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
That's the 5-cost one that makes recruits.
Stand Against Darkness.
Yeah. Stand in the Darkness.
Stand in the Darkness. I was like, well, that's a weird card. It's just a guy standing in the dark.
It's just like a shot of like Michael Jackson from what's it? Smooth Criminal. There we go. There we go.
I think there's some copyright laws against that. I don't think we can print a Hearthstone card with that. But as Tice mentioned, just going to get Truce over. But I don't think they're too upset about that. One thing he mentioned was not hero powering, just to not give Finja any fodder to pull up more Murlocs.
All right, well, there is a Murloc for Tice, but he does have the ability, if he wanted to attack with that buffed Bluegill to take down one of those minions. But again, we sort of have the same issue he faced last turn. He doesn't want to generate Finja fodder. Interestingly, Tice just does not have an Anything Can Happen yet. So if he does sort of fill up the Murloc pool, it is to the advantage of his opponent, who he doesn't know, but we see has an Anything Can Happen already waiting. Though at the same time, the first Anything Can Happen is not often going to win the game. It's only going to generate a sort of medium-sized number of Murlocs. It's usually the second one that kills you, which can often mean the player who casts it first is the one who loses, because their opponent could follow up and cast another one.
Yeah. The math a lot of times gets much more complicated than that, but at the end of the day, you want to be the one who has the last anything, as they say.
That's how it goes, right?
That's how the old goes.
Saying, he who anything's last wins. I don't know.
There you go. Brian Kipper quotes.
There you go.
And here's, as you mentioned earlier, the equality combo to clear. It's not really that threatening of a board. It's a 1/1 recruit, an Acolyte of Pain, and a Finja.
Well, Finja could be anything. It could be a boat.
Yes, it could be.
And it's also important to note that the interaction of Equality and Murloc Warleader in the matchup, though, because if you allow your opponent to build up a big board with Murlocs, if it includes Warleader and other Murlocs, those other Murlocs don't die to an Equality clear with Wild Pyromancer, because the passive aura of the Warleader buffs after the equality.
Yep.
An interesting thing to note here, the Doomsayer from Powder, just playing it to get out of his hand. He recognizes that he's got a lot of cards. He's going to need to find an opportunity to get some of these cards out of his hand to keep drawing, and just throws out a Doomsayer to, you know, it knew the end was coming, and, well, it was right.
It was right. All right, well, turn 8 here. The play that stands out to me, of course, is Tyrion Forging. Trying to think of something that, you know...
Good math. Good math.
Cost 8. 8 mana.
There is an interesting question as to whether Tice wants to use his True Silver Champion here, because if Tyrion were to die, he would get Ashbringer, potentially lose a charge. That said, you know, this is a matchup where those incremental bits of damage aren't super important until you get later into the game when there is the threat of anything can happen.
Yeah, True Silver Champion, or sorry, the Arcanite... Ashbringer, jeez.
Arcanite Bringer.
The Arcanite Bringer.
Ash Champion.
The man in the darkness, as I like to call it. The Ashbringer, later on in the game when you have those anything turns, can, you know, add to the damage that can get you closer in the range. But here we go. Consecration, Small-Time Recruits, or Repentance. 3 mediocre options, you know. Small-Time Recruits is absolutely useless unless they have a Tech 1-drop somewhere in the deck.
Inquisitor.
Yeah.
For the mirror.
There you go.
Oh.
Repentance.
Pretty
much
weak in the matchup.
useless.
Yeah, I would expect them to take the Consecration here. I believe they're actually at 26 as well, so Consecration would heal them to full, which disguises the card they take, which has some value.
Yeah. So now G2 doesn't really have any idea. They know that it's a 4 or more cost spell that they picked up. Could be another anyfin. Probably would have picked it quicker than that, but again, that could be another feign. That
there's something to be said for concealing what you've got going on. If you snap pick something, your opponents have the information that it was a fairly easy decision. So often you'll want to make even your easy decisions take a little bit longer to conceal that information at this level of play, at least.
Yep. All right. Finja picked up for G2.
I just see chat saying discover last. Look at this.
Wow. More bad options here. Hammer of Wrath, probably the... Actually, definitely the go-to choice. Noble Sacrifice, though, can block an attack from a bluegill later on in the game.
Noble Sacrifice is an interesting card because of just the sheer quantity of damage that can come up later on from an individual minion.
Could end up blocking up to, what, 12 damage?
Yeah. I mean, clearly the Small-Time Recruits is just not an option. The Hammer of Wrath, yeah, he will go ahead and just take the Noble Sacrifice, and he's gonna play it. He's going to set himself up. This also is just the most mana-efficient thing available here. And there's also, this is at least somewhat concealed. Obviously, it's a secret, so Alliance doesn't know what it is, but kind of how a secret works. Sort of the definition of the word.
It could force an interesting reaction out of Alliance because, you know, it's pretty much, if I was in the shoes of Alliance, I would say, oh, that's redemption. Because whether or not you kill the bluegill or kill the Tyrion, resurrecting one of those is, you know, a pretty big deal because having an extra bluegill in the pool of diluted Murlocs later in the game might be a good thing. So
yes, though at the same time, the extra bluegill also benefits you. So the redemption on a bluegill is potentially advantageous to the player who's actually casting the anyfins, which at this stage, there really isn't that much of a Murloc pool, and Powder knows that he has both anyfins in his hand. So he has a clear around a Noble Sacrifice here if he wants it. He can play the Pyromancer coin into equality. The coin would also trigger a redemption by killing the bluegill Murloc. Yeah, and that is, in fact, what he's going to go for. He will see that it is not a redemption. He's going to go with equality and attack. Oh, this is not going to work for him. He's going to get Noble Sacrificed just as the rope burns. We see that pained look and a laugh from Tice. Yeah, that secret got him good.
yeah, that's going to be, you know, effectively at least an extra 8 damage that they're going to take because of not using the equality and trying to use the consecration instead. I wonder what they guessed the secret was there.
I was going to say the same thing. I wonder what that sequence of plays was intended to play around. You know, once you saw that it was not redemption because the coin killed the Murloc, you have to wonder, okay, well, what is this? Repentance isn't a card that you think your opponent would take. All the
would have triggered also. With the wild pyromancer.
pyromancer. That's true. Yeah. So. What is it? Sacred Trial? What are you playing around there?
The old Sacred Trial.
I mean, I honestly think that may have just been a sort of drawing a blank on planning out the turn, thinking, okay, these are the possible options, and then not really reevaluating once the coin didn't trigger redemption there.
Yeah, because a Sacred Trial doesn't even activate on anything can happen.
Right.
Because it's if you have this amount of minions and play a minion, then that minion is killed. So, all right, well, let's take a listen into Alliance to see what they're thinking about right now.
The Barnes is pretty likely to get either Reg or Tyrion.
It's Rag Tyrion, Wild Pyro, Peacekeeper. And 2 Bluegills. 2
Yeah,
Bluegills.
Bluegill. Maybe, yeah, Bluegill wouldn't be that
And
good.
1 Ivory Knight as well.
Bluegill wouldn't be that bad.
Wait, how good is the anything here?
Yeah, so we get... The Finja can't kill anything.
Wait, we get back up 1 War Leader?
Yeah,
Alright,
one
yeah,
more leader Finja and we can clear his Tyrion.
Yeah, but it still has to... Oh, no, we traded 1 once too.
Yeah.
Well, on board it can't kill anything, but... Like, he can't anything and... Or, like, he can anything and then trade, I guess.
Yeah.
Do we have lethal then? No. Then we anything back.
Maybe. 2, 3.
I think we have to anything here. Yeah, just anything. But I'm not too sure about it. Me neither. So now it's 1 more Bluegill.
Interesting that they went with the anything, because now all of a sudden they're in a situation where now there's 2 Bluegills dead and a War Leader. So that's going to be 8, 12, 17 damage staring back at them on the other side of the board.
Interestingly, if Tice kills the War Leader, I guess, yeah, if he kills the War Leader, then anythins, because the War Leader doesn't affect his board anymore.
Also, he can pull more Murlocs out of his deck with the Finja that he has.
Right. If he'd attacked that War Leader first, he would have gotten back another War Leader from Anything Can Happen, which would have buffed his board. I guess his goal is to get more Murlocs out of his deck with this Finja. Looks he's trading. So he has, as you mentioned, 17 if he were to just go face. If he had just attacked, he would have gotten 3 buffs from War Leaders. So he actually would have more damage if he was going to attack face, but he wouldn't have the ability to generate Murlocs here, which I suppose is his goal. And yeah, there are just the other War Leader. Okay, yeah, this represents essentially the same thing, except because he only had 1 War Leader left in his deck, he still gets the Ashbringer attack.
Yeah.
Although he trades the Finja attack for an Ashbringer attack, effectively.
Yep. So I don't think... Well, Alliance has to clear the board. They don't have a way to clear the board even.
Yeah, this is a really bad spot for Alliance. They are kind of in a mess. As we mentioned earlier, too, equality doesn't work as you want against War Leaders. You can't equality Pyromancer. They don't even have a Consecration.
Yeah.
They could equality... Is there a way to, like, equality and Bluegill kill something and then have the...
Finja doesn't even have any
there's no way
to pull out.
Oh, yeah, they're actually all gone already.
Yeah, with the Bluegill draw, they can't even, pull the last Bluegill out of their deck.
Oh, you're totally right. Yeah, that's his last Murloc. There's already the 1 Bluegill.
Yeah, they pulled the Bluegill out of their... Oh, no.
No, he still has a Bluegill left. He hasn't played any Bluegills.
Yeah, the Bluegill was on
the Bluegills are all from G2.
Okay, so they have 1 Bluegill left.
And there's a lot of Murlocs.
This is one of those anythins where you're just like, well, let's see what we get.
Okay. And he got a Finja, which means that he only has so much. And yeah, there's just not enough to be able to clear the board. And there is the concession from Powder. So G2 with Tice taking the first game of the series in the Anyfin Mirror.
Yeah, I mean, that matchup can, even though it's a slow one, it gets pretty intense really quickly once we start getting to the later stages of the game where, Murlocs have been drawn and Anyfins have been drawn. So definitely a good start here for G2. You could hear in Alliance when they went with the Anyfin turn, Osaka said, I don't know about that one. And then we're just like, I don't know either.
there was a lot of uncertainty, and I wonder if sort of the too many cooks in the kitchen may have been going on there because they had kind of had that stumble the turn before where they really got blown out by that noble sacrifice, keeping Tyrion alive, and I wonder if there was just some discord going on there.
You're more likely to go through with a bad idea when there's two other people
That sounds great.
telling you that it's a good idea.
Oh no, what have we done?
Yeah, so you can see on your screen there, with that Paladin win, G2 is now just 5 games away from securing the match. So just 6 wins needed in this best of 11. And of course, since it's last hero standing, they will be forced to play the Paladin again. So Paladin for Tice and G2. And that means that Alliance is the one that has to choose another deck to go up against that Paladin deck. And they still have all 6 games to win if they want to take this match.
Yeah, and their Paladin's gone. So what options do we have? We don't know for certain what different archetypes they have available to them. We see the classes, but this could theoretically be a control warrior, a pirate warrior. This could even be freeze mage. And this is a environment in which, as we mentioned earlier, because you can choose to counter queue, you're not forced to get wins with each of your decks against an opposing deck at some point. If you have sort of a pocket pick that lines up specifically well against something your opponents might have, you'd be much more likely to see it in this format than in Conquest.
Yeah, I would expect the warrior. Most likely it's some form of aggressive warrior. I know Orange has really been on the train of Dragon Warrior, of course, with Pirate Package lately. It's what he took second place at WESG with recently. If it's Reno Lock and Reno Mage, both of those decks, well, actually, Reno Warlock does pretty poorly against the Murloc Paladin, but Reno Mage could do okay because of Ice Block.
Ice Block's very powerful. You do sometimes have difficulty killing your opponent as Reno Mage.
Yeah.
You're often trying to play sort of an attrition grinding strategy, and when your opponent has 2 cards in their deck and 2 more Ivory Knights to get, things that just make an enormous board, that can be very difficult to beat.
Yeah. So I would see the warrior because all of the other 4 decks, if they're using normal archetypes, can struggle against any Paladin. It's kind of crazy to think that that's the case. But with Paladin or with Shaman and Rogue off the board,
right? Yeah, we have seen very little Paladin in the ladder recently, though Anyfin Paladin does have, as Blizzard recently said, a very strong overall win rate on the ladder. I think part of that is because the deck is quite strong against everything that isn't Rogue or Shaman, so not really a surprise based on sort of that knowledge that these teams both brought the deck and chose to play it in the first round.
Yeah. So we'll see what Alliance queues up. I can imagine it's going to be warrior. Just because of the aggressive nature, you want to get off and run into the Paladin. But even then, Paladin can beat a warrior, a Pirate Warrior. It's not as one-sided of a matchup as, let's say Pirate Warrior versus Rogue, because Paladins do have heals, and they do have ways to block damage. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but seeing the underrepresented decks make it in and have success because of bans is actually really cool to see.
Still no Rexar, though.
Still no Rexar. One of these weeks, though, because eventually the meta of the Trinity Series is going to settle down. Everybody's going to be bringing these greedy control decks, and then it's Rexar's time to shine. But they're actually going to go with the Mage.
All right, and this is an interesting choice. It's clearly not clearly necessarily Reno, but most likely a Reno Mage, given the fact that we see that Volcanic Potion. If we did just see Acolyte Alexstrasza, maybe it's Freeze, but usually don't spend card slots on low impact removal like the Volcanic Potion in Freeze Mage. As we see, we have swapped to Orange as the pilot, while Tice continues to pilot the Paladin deck.
All right, well, let's listen into these mulligan decisions here.
Yeah, I don't mind Trucifer. It's also good against Acid Drake and against all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
like they are also not too proactive. Okay, Ivory Knight is fine.
I think the best way to beat them is like with anything proc the block and like they either in or they clear the board and then we have like backup in our hand to like kill them.
But we need to be aggressive. We need to be aggressive in this matchup.
Yeah.
They also cannot draw all their cards. Like we gonna draw faster most of the time. So what are they playing for Reno Mage? Any idea?
They might be playing like the 6-0 version with like Solia Pyroblast. That's what the Orange used in WSG.
Okay.
So we need to be careful at Solia shenanigans.
Is that the draw version?
They have quite some cycle. They have like Acolyte and Arcane Intellect, but they don't have Loot Hoarder or Novice Engineer. That's the 6-1 at least, if they play that.
So their left card is a 2-drop. Oh. Their left card is a 2-drop.
Doomsayer? Talnos, okay. Tempo Talnos, okay. It's very bad versus Acolyte. I was like, weird play.
They might have something like a spell. Torch.
Do we still go for the Coin Morlock? Be fine, right? Like, what can he do?
You like it? Coin Murloc? It's good for the curve, right? Coin Murloc into either Barnes or True Silver.
Yeah. I don't see a
I
way
like
they
it.
can abuse it. They can obviously kill it, but they cannot kill the second one and the bars and the True Silver, and like we apply pressure. Yeah, I like it.
I like it too. And
All right, some pretty cool decisions being made there. G2 obviously recognizing that they want to try and be aggressive in this matchup to, you know, sort of put the onus on Alliance and Orange to defend against it.
We heard them talking about the various versions of Reno Mage that they could be up against, and that's one of the interesting things about a week-to-week league like this, keeping track of what sort of decks your potential opponents have been playing recently. They're just saying that Orange's result recently at WESG, he had played this particular Salia Pyroblast version of Reno Mage, and that's definitely the sort of deck that doesn't have quite as grindy of an approach. It's trying to kill you.
Yeah. Some say the height of Orange's hair is directly proportionate to his happiness at that very given moment.
Ooh, it's kind of flopping down though.
Yeah, right now they're down 1-0 in the series, so
true.
I'm not surprised that he's not feeling it right now, but hopefully it'll get some
it looks like he's
elevation.
picking it up though. Look, he's actually lifting his hair with his hands.
We killed the Murloc War Leader a little bit happier.
Is that like a self-help thing? You know, you just
yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, there is another War Leader, so I don't know. He may let it down once again.
So G2's plan coming together nicely. Barnes or True Silver Champion next turn. Barnes in this deck, serves multiple purposes and can get you extra Murlocs out faster, or even just extra Murlocs to make your first Anyfin pack a little bit more of a punch. Can also pick up cards like Tyrion or Ragnaros Lightlord, which can swing a game very early on, as early as turn 4 or 3 with the coin.
Even just Acolyte of Pain, get a little bit of card draw can be quite valuable. You need to be a little bit careful because of the presence of Doomsayer in your deck. You don't want to be curving out into Barnes and hit yourself a Doomsayer, but the deck doesn't do a ton of curving out, so that's usually not a problem.
Yeah.
And,
this game excluded.
Yeah, now
it's
now
out
he's
quite nicely.
He is looking to overwhelm with the 3-3 for 3.
So it looks like Alliance's plan is to use the Volcanic Potion. They're mousing over it a lot, and we saw them debate whether or not they wanted to attack face and get that extra damage, and then Volcanic Potion using the spell power, or evaluate their draw first, see if they get something that they want to play a little bit more, and then go from there. So I like this play, evaluating first, still get the kill. The 1 damage is pretty inconsequential at this stage.
All right, well, it will be Barnes. Terrible tragedy. That's not a terrible tragedy for anyone. It's kind of I give that a 3.5 stars on Yelp if I went to that show.
3.5. Wow.
Maybe only 3.
Yeah, 3.5.
It depends on which side. Neither player is super excited about that. It's not like it's a 1-star or 5-star review. Those are like the polarized reviews.
Yeah, 3.5 is like a restaurant that I'd go to on a Tuesday night when nobody could see me there.
Yeah, my wife basically will not go to any place that has less than 4 stars on Yelp.
Whoa. We have
found some really, really good restaurants with that strategy, though.
It's a good one. It's definitely a good one.
So you gotta be careful too. You gotta look at the reviews, and sometimes just 1-star review. It's like, my waiter did something that I found offensive, and you're just like, what did you find offensive? It's like they asked me the wrong question about how I wanted my burger. What in the world?
It's like a 1-star review, and it's only one guy reviewing. He's like, "God, my ex-wife works there."
Yeah, exactly.
Then why'd you give it 1 star? All right, Acolyte of Pain. Drawing cards in this matchup, I feel like, Alliance also recognizes G2 plan. G2 wants to sort of be aggressive in this matchup. And so Alliance probably understands that this isn't going to go to fatigue, so they're okay with drawing a lot of cards because they realize that, them being ahead or behind in the card matchup is not going to matter. Also, I mean, G2 just has a lot of natural card draw on the deck. It's hard for them to not draw cards, especially if they're the ones that have to be the aggressors in that type of match.
I mean, this isn't really generally a matchup that goes like actually to fatigue in the sense that a team totally runs out of resources. It may go to the point that both players are out of cards in their deck, but generally, one of them is going to have something that actually ends up finishing the game.
I wonder.
When people talk about like, oh, something goes to fatigue, it's like, does that mean that it goes to the point where both players' resources are totally exhausted, or it means that it goes long? Because those are different things.
Yeah. When both players exhaust their resources and start taking fatigue damage that can decide the outcome of the game. And consistent with the plan here. Draw aggressively. They have both the 8-drops in their hand, but no Murlocs. They've had their War Leaders, but no Bluegills. So even if they draw their anythings, not going to really do much for them, at least anytime soon.
It's worth noting, though, that Alliance already has their answers to those high-end minions in the hand. And when picking up Kazakus is one of perhaps the most important card in the Reno Mage deck, especially in this matchup, simply because it can generate the Mystic Wall, the mass polymorph, which can deal with an entire wave of anything can happen, while preventing your opponent from getting those minions back from a future anything can happen.
Yeah.
And
Mystic Wall.
Then Inkmaster Salia with the Firelands Portal, kind of a medium result with that Frostwolf Warlord. And now it is Alliance looking to take back the tempo, but G2 has a lot of cards in hand they can use to answer this.
And kill off the Warlord here with the True Silver, and then use Aldor Peacekeeper, for instance. They can even ignore the Inkmaster's LA for now and just play out an Ivory Knight to try and find something different. The higher health they are, they won't be able to benefit as much from the heal, but as we mentioned in the last game, if they get something that's 4 more mana, they can sort of conceal the cost of the card, considering they can't heal above 30 and it won't give them that information.
There's a couple of interesting options here. Tice can choose to take down the Inkmaster Salia now using both the minion and the weapon. I'm just going to go ahead and Aldor that, play for the board control immediately, and then looks like he's debating attacking and re-True Silvering, perhaps. I was just going to go ahead and Doomsayer. So yeah, Tice trying to set up the turn 8 here with one of those big drops.
All right, well, as we get into Alliance's turn, let's go ahead and listen into some of their decisions.
I don't think so. No.
So just Ice Block here, Power Phase. Could just clear. I mean, we should clear the 1/1s, right, to make their Solemn worse. So their Solemn wouldn't be...
One at least, because then they can...
Their Solemn is gonna cost...
Yeah, so their Solemn costs 2 instead of 0.
We definitely trade 1.
Yeah. Probably 2, since we're gonna Alex them.
We are just gonna Ice Block Ping, do nothing else, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I clear 2.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree
They're both, I guess. Because if we Alex him, it doesn't matter.
What to do? What to do?
But if he plays Tyrion, do we
polymorph it? Yeah.
Polymorph it, right?
Yeah, there's no point in polymorphing the charges, right? Or is it? I think we could always just Alex Strata.
All right, well, trying to formulate some game plans here. They did play around, extra solemn vigil draws by killing off some of those minions. That was what the discussion was about. It looks like they're waiting maybe for more value from Kazakus or maybe more information. They might be waiting for their brand to try and get double potions from Kazakus to get more value out of it.
Yeah, in a long control matchup, that's often the plan you want to take. Though we do see the Manic Soulcaster in Alliance's hand, and often just getting access to the Kazakus potion now, shuffling the Kazakus back into your deck, and then giving you the ability to draw it again with Brand later, gives you both the powerful effect now without having to wait until you actually get that bonus when you have the Brand. Though at the same time, they can potentially expect to need to use their mana to deal with things that G2's putting it in their face. The 8-mana turn. Looks like it's going to be Tyrion Forge Ring coming out. We do see the Polymorph in Alliance's hand, but this is a matchup where Polymorph is really overworked because you really want to be able to Polymorph the Murlocs as well to keep them from coming back from anything can happen.
Yeah. And we heard them talking about it a little bit even in their listen-in where Orange mentioned, or sorry, Powder mentioned, he said, yeah, we can just polymorph it, but don't really need to polymorph, some of the chargers, because if you polymorph those chargers. All right, well, let's see what they're gonna pick with this Kazakus. Let's listen into Alliance.
Deal 6, I guess.
Yeah,
But I mean, we could now actually. Do we take deal 8 because of Alexstrasza?
I don't think so.
No.
We have Flame Strike, so.
I think we can I think we can fatigue them even if we miss
have a lot of
Polina.
them.
Yeah, we
Even
can
if we
still
miss
win
the
with
Polina, we can
deal
still win. Nice.
Nice, we got the polymorph.
Yeah.
And then we just polymorph this.
So now like Polymorph.
Kibler, you know what you call it when you get the perfect Kazakus potion that you're looking for in that situation.
I know what you call it.
You call it the juice. And that, my friend, that Kazakus potion, that's the juice.
Well, actually, I don't think I'd agree with you.
No, you have to
The
agree
Mystic
with me.
Wool is. The Mystic Wool certainly is. That's exactly what you're looking for in this matchup. The ability to nullify your opponent's future anyfins by polymorphing all of their Murlocs. But as they were mentioning, they took the deal 6 to everything as the first mode.
Clears all the polymorph minions.
Yes, you get to kill a bunch of sheep. There are better things you can do than kill a bunch of sheep
Hey, if
with a
there's
10-cost spell, okay?
If there's 7 sheep on the board, that's 7 damages coming at you next turn.
It is.
Kibler, I'm using my override code here. That's the juice.
You get an override code? No one told me this. I wouldn't have signed up if you got an override code.
You gotta read the fine print, my friend.
The worst part is, I never learned to read. All right, well, Alliance now with a lot of options, though this is, not really a board that's super scary. This is not a board full of Murlocs you want to use the Kazakus potion on. They do have the Alexstrasza, but because they took the board clear, they don't really have a lot of damage to follow up with that dragon. And also, you don't really necessarily want to just play your big dragon into an Acolyte on the board, especially you expect it in many cases to get Aldored. You just give your opponent free cards that way.
They have seen one Peacekeeper, and they've also seen Barnes pull a Peacekeeper, which means, well, I guess that was a long time ago. But, they might feel a little bit more comfortable. We heard them talk about earlier how their plan was to Alexstrasza them. And, since they had already had that in their mind, probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you heard Oskaka during that listen-in that their plan fundamentally was to fatigue them. And not in the sense of just, okay, we're going to deal damage to you, after a long game, but they're looking to run G2 entirely out of threats because there aren't really that many in the Anyfin deck if you are able to deal with the Anyfin thanks to Mystic Wall.
All right, well, this Doomsayer poses some issues. They can still get a draw out of it if they want by Althor Peacekeepering the Doomsayer and throwing the Acolyte into it. But not sure if that is something that they want to do, especially since they know pretty much every Reno Mage deck, maybe not everyone, but most of them do run Alexstrasza. Even getting the Althor Peacekeeper on a Reno later on in the game can be a big deal because the 4 attack can be a point that's threatening. Yeah,
G2 has a few options here. They can dig for something with Ivory Knight. They could possibly find some sort of buff for one of their minions. They could find Hammer of Wrath. They do have just the Consecration in hand if they wanted to attack into in Consecration. That said, they're defending a board that is really weak. They do want to get that card draw off of the Acolyte if they can because they're running relatively low on resources and don't have any fins yet. It looks like as the rope burns, as is the custom in Life Coach's world. Yeah, and there is the Anyfin. So we will see the Doomsayer taken out, and then the +7 has to be a little bit scary for Alliance there because it does mean that is very likely the Anyfin can happen. It's that or a lay on hands, and either of those is pretty bad from Alliance's point of view.
All right, Frost Nova after the Doomsayer, so I can't combo with that. Frost Nova can buy a turn, and this is a snap call on the Alexstrasza. They didn't have the Flame Strike as an option, but it looks like they want to be a little bit aggressive here with their plays, and Flame Strike will have a lot of use later on, especially when we get into like the first Anyfin turn.
Yeah, from G2's perspective, this has to be at least a little bit scary because there is an unknown Kazakus potion in hand. I don't believe they've seen a Forgotten Torch rather yet. So there's no threat of just the 15 points of burn of Fireball, Frostbolt, Torch coming at their face. But the Kazakus Potion does kind of change that math a little bit, because there is, over 2 turns, the threat of potentially really big burst. It looks like it's just going to be an equality to take this out. Does give G2 a draw with the Acolyte, and then Ragnaros guaranteed to hit the face, so no more threat of just getting burned out right here.
All right, let's see what Alliance's game plan is in the next few turns. Let's take a listen.
Not bad. It fits our last 2 mana. I can get Doomsayer.
Pull his Doomsayer.
Yeah, I mean, we do it, right?
And we can pull his Ivory Knight as well.
I guess so, yeah.
If the only rare one is Acolyte.
It's not bad.
It's not that good, but I mean, Flame lands 0 power, right?
Yeah.
The old Dirty Rat. They had a good game plan there. Dirty Rat doesn't really have any risky pulls once Tyrion's out of the equation. I mean, I guess Finja would have been a little bit awkward. They didn't really think of that, but as Kaka mentioned, if they pull the Ivory Knight, that could definitely be a huge amount of value. Whoa, these Ivory Knights have been quite underwhelming so far today.
You just got an anything can happen off an Ivory Knight. You're calling that underwhelming?
Oh, yeah.
That was literally like a turn ago.
These Ivory Knights, excluding the previous one, have been quite underwhelming.
This Ivory Knight.
On average, Ivory Knights today have been quite underwhelming. But let's go ahead and see what G2's thought process is on this Ivory Knight decision.
Okay.
Oh, you like the light?
No, that's fine, yeah. It doesn't matter. I think it's the same.
Because this heals you like instantly, right? For 4 more.
Yeah, no, I think it just doesn't matter. I also don't think the brass is ultra strong, but doesn't really.
It might be, or anything is 12 damage. If they remove this board, we deal 12 damage. We have the last 2 to proc. So anything is 2 Blue Guild, 2 War Leader.
Yeah.
And we are not gonna play Finja anymore.
If you draw the other anything, you should play the other one and keep this one, by the way.
They saw we healed for 7. Is there any other? Well, lay on hands.
They saw that you picked it instantly. I don't know if you
but
picked
I
Lay on
was
Hands
roping.
instantly.
I was roping. I had to pick. I mean,
Okay,
I was
okay.
roping.
So what did you say about the polymorphs? So is it ever a consideration to also trade 1 blue gel or something, so that we make sure this second anything is stronger, or is it doesn't matter?
It might be, yeah, it might be.
Doesn't
But
matter
you wanna
that much
proc.
because
You wanna proc
If it-
now.
if we proc him pretty low, they have to polymorph and have like armor or something. Because otherwise the one was just kill them.
Yeah,
That
that's
can
right.
be pretty annoying.
And we also have the Avenging Grass, so we don't need to care. We also have the
Yeah, yeah.
Avenging.
Yeah. And they don't even play the Twilight Flamecaller to deal 1 to like the sheep.
But they just SG for 5 mana? No.
Powerful, okay.
I think they have the polymorphs, but I mean, we just play it, right? And then we just play the second
And the
one.
top decked one.
But we don't proc them, yeah.
No,
We
but
put them at 1.
you have
I
to
feel like
start
okay,
with
but-
one. You have to start with one. And they have to now use it.
Yeah. I think that if they play like Reno, we can just like trade into Reno with like the 1/1 and with the Murloc and then like play it. It's like
My favorite Hearthstone card, the Blue Jill.
You must speak great German, man, to make fun of his English pronunciation of fantasy names.
I love Life Coach so much. That's actually the first time we've heard Life Coach, so he's made an appearance now. He's starting to contribute to their team discussions. You could see how much authority he has over some of the decisions. When he speaks, both of the other ones to just sort of go silent and they're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. He
Carry
was worried
spot
about
now.
the polymorph potion.
Yeah, and we do see that Yeah, there are a few options here for Alliance. It's not obvious what they choose to do. They could use the Polymorph Potion to try and neuter future anything can happen. But as was mentioned by G2, that leaves them at 1 life. They can't quite get broken by, well, anything other than one of the big spells in G2's hand. There's not really incremental damage generally out of the Paladin decks. They could play, say, Reno Jackson plus Frost Nova, which protects their block, but here they are protecting it thanks to that 6 damage. The sheep aren't going to come in and get them, so wipe out this board. Oh, they could proc with Consecrate if they wanted to. Could just anything, but that is after the AoE, so that will only give the board that would be vulnerable to the Flame Strike, but again, they'll potentially be broken at 1 life, and one of those remaining minions, or one of the remaining burn effects in the hand can finish the game off. Yeah. So Alliance here, I would expect, based on the fear of, say, Consecration, that we'll see Reno Jackson plus Frost Nova to end up protecting their health after the gain 29 here. The max rich.
Yeah, this game would be almost impossible for G2 to win had that been their second natural anything can happen. But that was the one from Ivory Knight, so they still have one in their deck, and they're still going to have a healthy pool of Murlocs considering they didn't play the Finja, and considering they even said in their comms they have no plans to play the Finja since they'd already pulled all their Murlocs out. So they'll still have 4 Ward Leaders, 4 Bluegills, which is a good combination. Either way, you're going to have a lot of maximum damage still left remaining in the deck.
Yeah, and now G2, kind of an awkward spot. They have a bunch of cards in hand that may be great in some matchups, but are pretty bad here. Like you mentioned, they are off the Finja plan because they need to ensure all of their Murlocs are the combo pieces when they eventually draw their third anything can happen. And that third anything, because of the Mystic Wall, the mass polymorph, will not be the massive one that it possibly could be. It'll only be, well, I mean, you can only get 7 anyway, so it'll still be really big, but it won't have the same quite potential.
All right, let's listen into Alliance to see what they're thinking about.
Is it 100? Yeah, it's actually 100% 30 damage if they have the third anything.
Oh, it's 100%?
Yeah, it's 100% 30 damage.
There's Blizzard. So we're oh fuck.
Yeah.
But then, was it better to save the block then? Because if we save the block, then we can stay alive and then we can freeze stuff. But
How do we supposed to do here?
right? But I think it's Cabal Courier first, and then we could Blizzard if we don't get anything, maybe.
But yeah, is Soulcaster better than Courier? No.
No.
Reno doesn't do it.
Reno doesn't save us.
Yeah.
Felguard saves us.
Yeah, we can go Flame Strike Felguard.
No, we can't do it this turn, but
Next turn.
So this
So we don't have any clear for the thing then. Like.
no, we don't have any clear for this. Like, I think we have to Flame Strike and hope he doesn't have this third anything this turn.
And then what?
And then we play Felguard as a taunt and we don't die.
Isn't Blizzard and we start clearing?
Yeah, I like Blizzard better.
Yeah, Flame Strike.
Flame Strike.
Oh shit, I got it in. Oh wow.
Okay.
Woo! Oh!
Yeah.
And that's, you could hear that they knew that Powder said it was guaranteed 30 damage, whether it's 4 Bluegills and 3 War Leaders is 32, or 3 Bluegills and 4 War Leaders is exactly 30. So off the top, I guess, and you could see Tice celebrating after that one.
Yeah, and you heard the sort of disarray of the Alliance communication there as they were trying to figure out, okay, how can we win this? They were unable to protect their ice block, which meant that they were vulnerable to the third anyfin. They had knowledge that there was a third anything coming, so it's interesting. Maybe they could have reevaluated their strategy and how they dealt with the first 2 in terms of trying to preserve that ice block rather than taking the line that they did.
Well, Kibler, we have our own concoctions here.
We do.
You are the Kazakis, and I am the player.
And finally, a worthy disciple. Pick your potion. You got to pick the cost first.
1 mana.
Okay, here's 1 mana. Now you got to decide What modes are you gonna take?
I'll take the 2 damage, deal 2 damage.
Okay. Do you know what that's called?
No, Heart of Fire.
No, that's the deal. 3-2-1 target is Heart of Fire.
I don't know.
I actually don't know either. I just know that deal target MC1 target is Heart of Fire. What's your other mode?
Mysterious Juice.
What's your other mode? You get 2 modes.
I'm going to cheat and move Mystic Wool down to 1 mana.
You'd have to drink that one then.
The juice.
You have to drink that one if you want Mystic Wool.
This Kazakus potion, it's a blue color, which it looks like it's separated at the bottom a little bit. That Kazakus potion looks delicious. Let's go ahead and take...
You take a legal mode. Pick a legal mode.
Down the hatch, Stone Scale.
Okay, there you go.
I'm gonna
you knew that one because I told you its name yesterday.
2 damage to my esophagus.
But your enamel got +4 armor.
+4 armor to my enamel. There was some fluoride in that.
Yeah, exactly.
In that Kazakus potion. Good job. Good job. Wow. Okay. Well, with that, G2 goes up to a 2-0 match score lead. 4 more game wins from them, and they've reached the 6 that they need to take this match. Keep in mind, it is a best of 11 with last year's standing. So again, G2 will be forced to play that Paladin deck, but it's given them success so far. But once again, it's going to be Alliance who are on the back foot, but they will get to choose the deck that they want to go up against this Paladin deck with.
As we were discussing previously, the Mage is probably one of their better options available. We don't know exactly what their Warrior is. You were mentioning if it was a Pirate Warrior, maybe it'd be able to put enough pressure to kill the Paladin before it took over. But by the fact that they didn't take it, maybe it's actually Control. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'd be pretty rough for them if it was a Control Warrior, because then they'd have 4 matchups that aren't necessarily favored against the Ambient. If it's Reno Warlock, that's a pretty good matchup for Murloc Paladin. Either of the priests is decent for Murloc Paladin. Jade Druid, Druid can always get off to those starts where not many things can beat them, and they can make a lot of different boards to where 2 equalities isn't enough. But they need to have a lot of time in order to do that, and Murloc Paladin doesn't necessarily give you a lot of time.
Yeah, and what you want to see? I want to see the. Well, I don't really want to see this because I want to see as many matches as possible. But I kind of want to see just the 6-0 Paladin sweep.
Just 6-0, yes. All Paladin all the time.
Everyone's just like, Paladin's the worst class ever. It's horrible. It can't possibly win. It just beats everyone.
Well, we're going to use this as evidence that Paladin is great. We're going to take circumstantial evidence and use it as gospel for the truth.
We have a massive sample size of 2.
A massive sample size is 2, and keep in mind that we don't have 2 bands and a 9-deck system here, Kibler.
No, this is just like your normal experience playing ladder. Actually, it's totally different, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah. You can see again, for those of you who are just tuning in, it's a best of 11, which means that the first to 6 wins, and so right now G2 is up 2-0. Keep in mind also that game score actually matters.
Yes.
It's a 7-week round robin, so each team plays every other team once, and if there's any ties at the end of the season, then a game score comes into play. So the more games that you've won, the better off you are in the standings at the end of the season. So losing 6-5 is much better than losing 6-0.
And game wins with Paladin or Hunter are actually worth double. No, that's actually not true.
There were 2 wins. Game wins with Hunter actually were 2.5 wins.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's a dark subject. Going down a dark road.
Poor Rexar.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe he'll see some play in the future, especially if Murloc Paladin ends up becoming popular.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good matchup for most Hunter decks.
Yeah.
I was playing Reno Hunter for a little while. I was trying to make Reno Hunter work. I was like, okay, Hunter loses to all these aggressive decks because they're just more aggressive than you. Poor Smork. But I was like, okay, I'm going to play Reno Hunter, and that will give me this big heal that I can use to beat the other aggressive decks. And it turns out in a lot of cases I would just die before I could cast Reno anyway.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really very good.
Yeah, well, if you look at the remaining class pool left from Alliance, it's like Hunter would do well against all those.
Yeah.
Paladin and Hunter would do well against all those. So we are getting into game number 3 now, and we're actually going to listen into Alliance as they talk about their mulligans.
I will fight with honor.
Full mode.
Yep. Reno's okay.
It's not that good. just want pressure, right?
I want 4-drop and Emperor.
Pressure Kazakus. And the combo, yeah.
Okay, sure.
They full mulliganed.
I'll
Finja is actually okay, right? Like,
Let's
we can
do
just-
this.
It's a matchup where we play Finja, right?
Yeah, it's a matchup where you play Finja. It's also really not easy to kill at all for them. So,
Okay.
like, and Warlock cannot really deal well with a 4 health stealth. They can deal well with 3.
Yeah, so yeah, we just need Finja and anything, and then we beat them.
So, do we go just Bluegill here on curve? Or do we hero power? I mean, we pressure a little with Bluegill. It's just 2 damage face. It's not gonna do wonders with trading. What is their 3-drop? Imp-Gang boss. Well, a 1-1 or a 2-1, it's all bad into it.
They
I
usually
think
don't.
it's...
That
You don't like playing it?
they want to tap, right?
Yeah. I think we should play Bluegill here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I like Bluegill too. Even if they boss. If they boss, they trade a Bluegill, then Finja trades into boss.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they don't.
All right, well, Alliance was quite quiet, but we did get some insight into their game plan. Full mull, they didn't want to keep the Mistress of Mixtures, even though it was a 1-drop, and you could hear them say they were looking for pressure and Kazakus. Those are the 2 things that they're looking for.
Yeah, and not really either of those in the hand, though. The Mountain Giant pickup does give them some potential threat next turn. A little bit awkward, though. There are so many ways in the Paladin deck to neutralize just an individual big minion.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, if they play Doomsayer here to try and, you know, maybe plan against a Murloc War Leader on turn 3, which would, you know, start mounting pressure, then it means they delay their Mountain Giant. They can't play it on turn 4 any longer. Mm-hmm. So decide to, you know, go with that original game plan and try and pressure, get that Mountain Giant out as quick as possible.
It's interesting hearing G2's conversation, too. Talk about how, you know, this is a matchup where you want to play Finja because it is more of a actual minion board-centric matchup than, say, Reno Mage, where just a bunch of removal spells being thrown at your minions.
Yeah, one of there's many reasons why this matchup is, you know, a good one for anything Paladin. You know, one, usually by the time you get to a point where you have anything combo, the Warlock is, you know, sub 30 health, quite a bit sub 30 health, because they're life tapping even after they Reno to get that point. Also, they usually play like 1 threat at a time, which, as you mentioned, are easily neutralized by Paladin decks. And if they do play multiple threats at a time, you can use a quality combo to clear. And the deck really isn't that full of threats. You know, it's got a couple big minions that you have to worry about, like Mountain Giant and Twilight Drake, maybe an Abyssal Enforcer. But other than that, they're not going to really build a board pre-Jiraxis that's going to be so big that you know have to use would have to have 3 equality combos for.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, like you mentioned, the Reno Lock is built around a few major threats. There's, like you said, the Mountain Giant we see here. There's the Twilight Drake, and a lot of it is the combo. We actually heard them talking about what they're looking for. They're looking for Kazakus. They're looking for the early pressure and combo. That of course, being Leroy, Power of a Woman plus Faceless, which you need to get discounted at least some part of it with Emperor to do 20 damage burst. This is definitely a matchup where that kind of burst win condition is very important. In some matchups, you can just win through grinding. This is not one of them because the opposing deck does have its own burst win condition with the anything can happen plus a bunch of charging Murlocs.
Right, so it appears as if the Finja is going to come out here. So they're going to ignore the Mountain Giant for a turn in order to get Finja on the board. He's quite expensive for what he does. No immediate board impact, so it's always good to get him out while you can.
There's some interesting interactions with Finja. One important one being the fact that if it would die in combat, but a Murloc War Leader comes out, it actually lives because the damage doesn't complete on Finja until his ability is actually completed. He also doesn't need to survive. You could just equality attack into, say, this Mountain Giant and pull out some Murlocs to develop your anyfin pool very quickly.
Yeah, a lot of times, I get in situations where I have a Finja on 5 and I have a War Leader in my hand. And you hold on to the War Leader. That way, when you play Finch on 5, you can play the War Leader next turn to buff up Finch so he can attack into something bigger, and then pull more Murlocs out of your deck, which are then buffed immediately by the Murloc War Leader. So a really powerful card. He's a cool tool for the Paladin arsenal. Does make things a little bit awkward with anything can happen, but he's so good at thinning your deck of Murlocs that it's worth that risk later on to be able to play a card like that.
And Alliance now having what is clearly a pretty tough decision, going all the way to the rope, and then boom, 8 damage to the face from that giant. Pyromancer picked up from G2. They do have the ability, if they want, to just clear, even with just equality and attacking their minions, and they will get the Finja Pulse here, which I think is what their plan that they were trying to set up. And there's even a Solemn Vigil. If he trades off 4 minions, we'll get a 1-cost Vigil after all of this.
Yeah. And then, once his deck is thinned of Murlocs...
Ooh, this is really powerful. You can actually see both Murlocs just go face for 8. Solemn Vigil. And we see excitement from Dice there.
He really likes Murloc Paladin.
Yeah, he's a fan of what's going on in this game, which is understandable considering he has already won 2 games with this Paladin deck and is looking in a great position in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Murloc Paladin, even though people give Paladin a lot of hate, you mentioned earlier it's got a high win rate. Early on in Mean Streets of Gadgets in a couple of the early tournaments, I went to the Hearthstone Major in Malaysia, and Murloc Paladin was actually quite popular there. There was, I believe, 3 or 4 players that made it to the top 8 that had Murloc Paladin in their lineup. So, now it gets, preyed upon now that, all the aggro decks are quite refined and in that regard. But as far as the decks that it's good against, it's pretty good against them.
We do see Power Overwhelming picked up for Alliance, but not really great options here. There is a Demon Wrath that can clear most everything, but would leave the War Leader around. I could imagine just seeing Demon Wrath into Doomsayer this turn to just try and get a little bit of breathing room to allow Alliance to actually get something down. And yeah, that's exactly what we're going to see. There's not an easy way to deal with this for G2. We'll see what they're going to do to take care of this turn.
Yeah, let's
We are able. This. Yeah, only Pyro, Cons, and but then you kill your also or yourself. Yeah, and we just have to hero power phase.
Hero power heal phase, or do you keep the heal?
I don't mind healing here.
Yeah,
I don't know if we need. Do we need to heal?
I like to heal, yeah. I mean, it's...
Yeah, because then we can go Barnes next turn without... I mean, they have combo. They can have combo if they Emperor you next turn.
I like to heal. I mean, it's for free, right? Might as well do
It is for free.
I don't know, like, if they go... yeah, just do it. But you hero power too, right? Oh, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I'm just faking my True Silver a little. that I'm not
You
gonna
have to
play.
see when you would have played it in web phase.
Hey, I'm trying.
Taking.
Like, it doesn't matter. We are stacking our Frost Giant that's in.
The old hero power on turn 6 to fake the True Silver into the Doomsayer, but then Forbidden Healing play. Classic.
I don't know what's going on there, but we do see the Emperor for Alliance. They do have the discount on Power Overwhelming, so as we mentioned earlier, that is one of the key pieces of that burst damage combo they need to reduce in order to have really a chance to punch through enough damage in a single turn against the Paladin deck and all of the heals it has access to. G2 now, they have can just easily curve out if they want with Barnes. See what they get here. One of the poor results. I'd give that a 2.5 stars on Yelp. Mostly because of the.
Wait, that's less than the Aldor Peacekeeper?
Well, it's contextual, right? I mean, when people give Yelp reviews, in a lot of cases, they're just based on their mood.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what's going on. They're like like you were saying, I got into a fight with my girlfriend, and then I went here, and no one would console me. So 2.5 stars on Yelp.
So you're feeling, a little bit more sad than you were earlier when you gave the 3-star review.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
People are fickle beasts.
Amen.
But Emperor lives through the turn, which is very powerful here for Alliance. They do have Reno Jackson in the hand, can just heal up completely if they want. Even life tap first. Get even more discounts on things. We do see the Jiraxis in hand. Jiraxis is a little more dangerous in this matchup than it is in most other control matchups, simply because of anything can happen. You don't want to get yourself set at 15 life, then just get run over by bluegills.
Yeah. Next turn, pretty slated for G2. Well, maybe not. Depends how much they want to play around the Twisting Nether. You know, but Ashbringer, especially in this matchup, can really tenderize your opponent's health to make room for the Murlocs come feeding time.
And this is another 8-card Emperor trigger, so very efficient options available for Alliance in future turns. With that double reduction, they can even play Jiraxis, Hero Power, play a minion, and Sunfury Protector between them in a future turn.
Yeah. Jiraxis, ooze the Ashbringer,
yeah,
Hero Power, and then taunt them both up. All right, well, let's take a listen into Alliance to see what they're going to do with all these reductions.
That's right.
Yeah, tap. Yeah, we're always gonna tap.
That's a card. So Blast Crystal always, Swampers always.
We're gonna Peddler too, right?
We always train.
Yeah, we don't have to Peddler, but
I mean, we
because
should.
of consecration.
I
was one extra option. We could get like a Mortal Code here or something and dig even deeper.
Jouster, I guess.
I can for the sick Jiraxis.
So just do Crystal Acidic Swampers. We don't play Jouster this turn.
Yeah, because we can't tap next turn. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no point in playing Intercons. Yeah, I would pass, right? We play the Jouster Intercons.
All right, process of elimination. Powder using there. Oh, we're definitely going to do this. We're definitely going to do this. And then we have this much mana left. So what are we going to do? It's going to pass.
Math checks out.
Math checks out.
The interesting decision, we heard them at the end there talking about not playing the Jouster. They wanted to be able to play that after a possible consecration from G2 here, and that is actually exactly what we're going to see. So protecting that Jouster, keeping him, let him live another day. His mount will not explode.
Also, it could give them a little bit of information, even though that information could mean nothing. It shows Alliance at least one card, one minion that G2 has left in their deck.
Ooh, the Kazakus is a big draw from Alliance. They don't know their brand yet.
Please, no more juice.
Thirsty, TJ. Thirsty. And life tap. It finds Sylvanas. Not really super exciting here. So it will be Kazakus. Nope, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah,
all right,
here it is.
All right, let's take a listen in to see what they're going to pick.
The armor.
An armor's not that bad, no.
Yeah, it's an armor's fine. Deal 6, I guess.
Better than health. Yeah.
I
think with taunt we can make it so maybe the second anything is not lethal, and then if they use it we can AoE it.
But we have to kill the first one somehow. How do we kill the first one?
It's not a big deal now.
I guess. But we Shadow Bolt. Yeah, we Shadow Bolt.
Yeah, I would Shadow Bolt.
Parts here with Jouster.
Yep, Jouster, right?
Jouster.
Kibble, that is not the juice.
So you wouldn't drink that?
No, I would not. That potion, I'm on the fence about that one. I mean, they weren't really given too many fantastic options, I don't think, but they made the best with what they were given. 10 armor can put them out of range, especially now post Reno. They're limited on life gain, so that can put them out of range if anything can happen, especially if it gets them above 30, which is a mark that they sort of want to get above.
All right, well, there is the Anyfin. It is not a super impressive one. There's still a War Leader missing, though the fact that it does put another Finja into play is quite relevant. If this board were to survive, it could dig out that last War Leader and make future Anyfins even more powerful.
Yeah, and you can see they're opting for face damage here, and we talked about how the healing is limited from Alliance. Any point of damage, especially above 15, getting closer to 15 because of Draxus, is really important because that damage sticks, and the Warlock usually relies on the Reno to get them back up, and then being able to win before their health total gets low enough again to where they're in danger.
Yeah, we also are getting to the point where there's no determinate outcome from Anyfins because of the Finja and the fact that there's now 4 4 that have died before. Once these die, there'll be 8.
Well,
so,
there's actually only been 1 War Leader that was dead.
Right. So you don't have a definitive setup.
Yeah.
There's 8 total. That could be a mix of multiple Finjas up to 2 War Leaders. So you could have 2 Finja, 2 War Leader, 3 Bluegill as a possible outcome here.
Yeah.
Or you could have 4 Bluegill, 2 Finjas, 1 War Leader. So it can really mess up the math.
Yeah. They can get an average, though.
Yes,
That's what they can
true.
do. And I was going to try and figure that out, but maybe not. That's going to...
My head hurts.
Killer, I'll be right back.
But yeah, for Alliance here, they do have that potion. They could clear the board and gain 10. They also have the Twisting Nether. They could Twisting Nether and follow that up with something. They don't have a great follow-up necessarily, though. They've got to be afraid of what that potential Anyfin outcome can be. And yeah, they're going to go ahead and clear this board with Kazakus Potion. That does mean that they're out of range of the next Anyfin. And let's see what G2 is going to do to deal with this turn.
Wild Pyro, Acolyte, Vigil, but I like just Vigil more.
Can also Rag, but...
Better to Siphon.
What is... okay, we don't have enough damage with the second Anyfin, or what did you say?
We kind of want to find the second War Leader now. We have the possibility of getting 2 War Leaders, because 2 died. But there are also 2... So there are 4 Bluegills, 2 War Leaders, and 2 Finjas died. So we always...
So should we not play the... what is the argument for not playing Acolyte? Pyromancer and Solemn Vigil?
I don't want to use the Pyromancer, maybe.
I like it too. I like it too. We need to cycle fast.
Yeah, they can go for it if you can cycle super fast.
Oh yeah, we have True Silvers in the deck. That can be important.
Yeah, that can be pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, well, you can see G2 trying to decipher their win condition here, and, Tice realizing they need that 3rd War Leader to be dead before they can safely play that second Anyfin and kill their opponents.
Yeah, you do run the risk, even if you get to that point, though, because of the multiple Finjas, that it's not going to be quite enough. And Alliance, clearly recognizing with their choice of the juice, perhaps, that they needed to preserve their life total to get out of range of the Anyfin possibilities that G2 had available. I suspect that we probably won't see Jiraxis coming down. There is the unfortunate matter of Jiraxis removing your armor when played. So if that were not the case, I could imagine maybe we would see Jiraxis make an appearance. But Alliance digging Faceless with nothing to really go with.
This can be, one of those situations in especially control mirrors where it can make things awkward for the Reno Warlock because they have a lot of situational cards. And if there's nothing for them to kill or play, they can find themselves in weird spots. But just gonna go ahead and play out the Sylvanas. There's not really any fancy plays that a Murloc Paladin can make that can allow them to punish you for playing your own Sylvanas.
Yeah, at most you have like a Doomsayer, which we do see in G2's hand. And that's not even necessarily that bad for you if you get to pass the turn back and have the world blow up. I mean, G2 does have the option here of attacking the Wild Pyromancer into the Mistress of Mixtures, playing Doomsayer, True Silver, and getting the card draw off of their Acolyte and clearing off the Sylvanas, clearing the rest of the board thanks to the Doomsayer trigger starting on Alliance's turn. But again, that's not that bad for Alliance. They don't mind just getting a clear board back to them.
They're getting closer to the combo. Though the combo is, from the Dark Petal, they didn't pick up like any additional source of damage. It's still going to be limited at 20 damage unless they have like a Soulfire naturally in the deck. So they need to find a way to deal that, extra 9 damage as it stands now. And if they have minions survive on the board, that could be a way for them to do so.
And this is interesting because they did have the opportunity to donate this Doomsayer if they wanted and ensure the board clear at the start of the turn. By doing this, they have the threat of the Doomsayer going off at the beginning of their own turn, which means that Alliance can't develop their own board. And there aren't that many opportunities here for Alliance to do much that really puts a major dent in this Doomsayer. Ooh, Dirty Rat into a Doomsayer is always pretty attractive. You could even brand Dirty Rat if they want, though at the same time, they don't really care that much about minions. They mostly care about that card on the right, the anything can happen.
Yeah, if they pull out, the War Leader, then
you could just explode them, it's true.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, it is interesting that this is a situation where they could kill themselves by putting a minion into play that will immediately die.
I think they're pretty much healthy enough. They're
at 31 here, effectively, it's not really a risk.
Well, there's a True Silver equipped, so if they Dirty Rat and then pulled out a War Leader and they had an Anyfin, there would actually be 2 different outcomes.
If the triple...
no, actually only one... Yeah, there'd be 2 different outcomes that could... no, only one outcome.
Yeah,
there'd be one outcome that would kill them.
Triple, quadruple, right? There's no combination that includes Finja.
Yeah, there would be the 34 exactly 30 damage combo with, or 32 with 4 Bluegill and 3 War Leader.
All right, well, we do see Brand Dirty Rat come down. There's the War Leader. So G2 is getting to the point where maybe they can get that War Leader killed, get that Anyfin off. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of health still left for Alliance. And they will need to do something, though, to actually build up a board to defend themselves, because there is that True Silver that G2 has already. They can equip another one, hit with this one, and just accumulate enough damage that the Anyfin does potentially represent lethal.
Yeah, and Alliance has used some of those stabilization tools with the Send for Your Protector and the Earthring Farseer, which is sort of just a mini one. So poster access, they don't really have anything to defend themselves with, so not really an option either. They just really need to either piece together, some damage in order to make use of the combo, or just hope that G2 doesn't spawn the right Murlocs.
Well, a Refreshment Vendor is not bad. It does help preserve life total, at least. Is also something you can just Faceless Shambler. It has the possibility, at least, of keeping you alive.
Is there any merit to just not using hero power at certain points in the game from now on, if you're the Paladin?
If you're the Paladin? Oh, to ensure that you leave room for anything. Absolutely, yeah. If you expect that you need to have all your board available, and you think that your opponent can just not play a minion, that you could definitely get to that situation.
All right, well, let's see if Alliance can identify a way to win here. Let's listen in.
Faceless doesn't make any sense.
No, I think we need to see the
Game, but we make it 9. Here's like you can clear with only a consecration. I mean,
Get your funnel cakes here.
we should have saved the Sun Fury.
With the Bluegill. Or met the one. Are we cons Ivory Knight here?
Why not?
I like the cons Ivory Knight too.
Do the Ivory Knight first.
We hit first with the True Silver.
Hit your silver first.
I wonder.
We can do 3 attack. We have 4 mana. We can pick the portal, right? We trade a 1/1 in. We go on the War Leader with the portal. It becomes a 5/5.
Yeah, I like the portal. I like portal.
Do it first for whatever reason. I don't know.
The end is coming.
Because me, Doomsayer, yeah.
We go face here.
Face,
Trade.
face, always face.
Yeah, I like it too.
Face. Face because we have 24, right? So like if we get one Finja, it's either
But if they get double Finja, I think we can dodge lethal, but it's pretty unlikely with the weapon.
To get double Finja, 3 war leaders, 2 bluegills. They attack
play
us
2 acolyte?
for 8. They only play the 1 acolyte for 8, 16, 4. No, we can avoid lethal if
We
they
can
get
use
double
Siphon.
Finja.
We can use Siphon and Shadow Flame if they have no minions left. But he gets the hero powers then. But
He still has 1 Ivory Knight left.
if he has 1 Ivory Knight, then we can save the Siphon.
Yeah, it's
I don't know
1
how we
Iron
win
Knight,
though.
1 Doomsayer, 1 Acolyte.
So if he pulls double Finja, how much damage is it?
Double Finja, 3 war leader, and 2 bluegills is 8 plus 16 plus 4, 20.
What's the play? Hero Shadow
two
Flame?
more
Or what?
3 is
I think PO Shadow Flame. Or Leo Shadow Flame. I think the PO Shadow Flame is better.
Yeah.
We can't do it here. Stuff then.
PO Shadow Flame. We're gonna suck next turn. Oh my god, we're gonna lose this game too.
Well, a grim ending to that listen-in as Powder sort of realizing that they're in some big trouble here. They need to hold on to the Twisting Nether in case G2 plays Anyfin and it doesn't kill them. But then, even then, they don't really have a follow-up. And now they've given up Powerwhelming, so all of a sudden the combo with Leroy Jenkins and they face Manipulator is no longer a possibility. Let's see what they get.
Only 1 Finja, and yeah, that's 24. That is enough. And you see the fist pump from Tice. He's just steamrolling Alliance here. 3 games played, 3 games won with Anyfin Paladin.
He is loving it. Pure joy is radiating from Tice now as they take a 3-0 lead in the series now. And as you can see on the screen, all 3 with Murloc Paladin. They've eliminated the Reno Warlock, they've eliminated the Reno Mage, and they've eliminated
the opposing Anyfin Paladin.
The opposing Anyfin Paladin.
Clearly, whoever wins the Anyfin Paladin mirror wins the match. We've broken it already.
It is not opposite day, and I say this 100% seriously. Can anything stop the Anyfin Paladin?
Maybe every Fin is awesome Shaman, but that was banned.
That was banned. That was banned. All right, well, with Game 3 in the books, that means it's time for us to go to a small break before we get set up for Game number 4. But don't go anywhere, guys. More Trinity Series will continue right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Trinity Series. We're well underway with week number 1 of our 7-week round-robin team showdown, and we're about to get into game number 4, the first match of the day. My name's CJ, joined by Brian Kibler. And Kibler, we've seen the unthinkable happen so far with Anyfin Paladin so far for G2 having a 3-0 lead over Alliance.
Yeah, we actually saw the Anyfin mirror in the first round where Tice took on Powder there and managed to come out on top in that one. And so far, the deck has not seemed like it's come close to really losing. There was the Reno Warlock deck, or rather Reno Mage deck, sorry, that was able to deal with a lot of stuff thanks to the Mystic Wool, but the third Anyfin, thanks to Ivory Knight, gave it enough power to punch through, and then we saw it take down the Reno Warlock, and now it will be going up against Jade Druid. And while a lot of people say, oh, Jade's overpower control decks, this is only sort of a control deck. It's a control combo deck that's looking to actually end the game with that big burst of damage from Anyfin.
Yeah, they aren't trying to run you out of resources. They're trying to, get to a point where they can just play their combo. So, the removal spells that they have and the removal tools that they have are just to buy a little bit more time. But the Jade Druid, though, it is well positioned in a lot of cases when it can get off to a pretty big start. Forcing the Murloc Paladin to use those quality combos early on can put you in a situation where, if you just play like 2 Jade things on a turn in the, sort of the middle of the game, turn 7, turn 8, can let you, run away with the amount of damage you can build up.
Yeah, the real key here for Alliance will be, as you mentioned, trying to bait out those clears and be able to generate a big board in a single turn, putting on a lot of pressure. We can also get to the later stages of the game if they have significant amount of mana ramp, being able to get a Gadgetzan Auctioneer turn off where they're able to make a lot of card draw happen, whether with Innervates and Wild Growth cycling, or just shuffling a bunch of Jade Idols in the deck and chaining those together. Not really a matchup, as I mentioned, that goes totally to sort of attrition-style fatigue because of the power level of the burst damage from the Anyfin deck.
Yeah, against normal control decks, the Druid can wait all the way until, their last few cards are Gadgetzan Auctioneer plus Jade Idol, and they can just, continuously cycle that, but don't have the luxury against this one. But G2, no Murlocs to start off their hand, but they do have quite a bit of card draw, so they can start get that rolling. Solemn Vigil is quite situational, though.
Yeah, and we see just the hero power here. They do have the Acolyte plus Aldor, which can help them get some card draw, even bouncing into larger minions. I suspect from Alliance we'll see that Jade Blossom here. No other really compelling plays. Ramping up to get those Jades going from hand. And G2 with another Acolyte. Probably just going to see one of these come down, especially backed up with that Aldor, can get some card draw going in future turns. And also, I imagine what we'll see here is just potentially a trade. It doesn't really matter for... Oh, no, he's actually just going to go to the face. There's not that many things that can go wrong here. He could get swiped, but he's fine getting swiped in this turn anyway. Just get the 1 damage in here for G2. And, again, this is a matchup where the Paladin isn't just looking to grind you out of resources. It's going to kill you. So getting each of those points of damage in can really add up.
Yeah. Jade Druid is one of those decks where the power of it is, pretty predictable. You watch the Jades grow yourself, so you can, know exactly what your opponent can do the next turn. It's not like Rogue, to where you never know if you're going to have to deal with a huge Van Cleave, or, Reno decks where, Kazakus Potion can be something that you don't necessarily know. There's not many of those, sort of random effects aside from Raven Idol that can really throw you for a loop. So you can sort of guess how much, the maximum amount of power your opponent can put on the board next turn, and thus plan accordingly.
Well, it will be a Jade Behemoth that comes down, and that gets those Jades growing a little bit more. No super easy clear here for Tice. He could use his Aldor and pick up some extra cards. Those Aldors are generally pretty powerful in the sort of mid to later stage of the game as the Jades grow, or you face him like an Ancient of War, which we see waiting in Orange's hand.
Yeah, not really given too many great options here. Do they value the card draw from the Acolyte of Pain more than they value being able to negate one of those? But let's go ahead and listen into G2 to get their thoughts on it.
if there's any second True Silver.
He's only bad if he tries to like overdraw you, but I don't think he can.
Yeah, but then like to stop the overdraw, I have to play a card here.
It's Coin Acolyte, yeah.
Yeah, quite accurate.
Move quickly.
Really good, because like he
We
value
don't-
trades and then he value trades back.
We don't attack with the weapon here, right? Or do we ever?
No, you don't
No, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Not into this card. No. I don't like it either.
Is it better?
You do that, right? That into Living Roots to make them not draw off the Acolyte.
Yeah, play Spirit Rage.
Yeah, Spirit Rage is also okay, I guess. But, I mean, are we ever gonna get better value off the Living Roots?
If a Spirit Rage, what is
Spirit,
what is
like, accurate cards always kill stuff, right?
Okay. I mean, we get a 3-3 and a 2-3. I mean, that's pretty good.
It's technically more damage, and we also get like I mean, we just get the Jades going, right? Just play Jade stuff.
The thing is that like next turn we can go double Jade Spirit, but it's probably better to just do it this turn, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we want to go double Jade Spirit to play into AoE. But I like this.
Time waits for no one.
That's not the one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can see a little bit of their insight there. The original plan was Azure Drake plus Living Roots, and they settled on Jade Spirits just to get the ball rolling on the Jades. It's good to space out the Jades.
It's interesting. The Jade mechanic does encourage you to kind of sometimes make inefficient plays this turn to set up future turns, and that's something that, in my experience as a streamer, Twitch chat hates. They're like, do the thing that's the biggest this turn. Do it. God, you misplayed. You didn't do the biggest thing this turn. But I think that we see a lot of that. Some people will complain a little bit about the linearity of the Jade mechanic, but the sort of sacrifice of the best thing now to set up something more efficient in the future, I think, is very interesting.
Yeah, and if they can, bait out some AoE in a situation like that, then, again, they've set themselves up for a good position for the future. Their Jades are bigger, so it allows them to rebuild with a bigger board. But G2 just going to throw out their Murlocs. Of course, Murloc War Leaders always do better in pairs since they buff themselves.
They lead each other.
They do.
Buddy system. Yeah, and gonna go ahead and chip into that the behemoth, but not use the last charge of that True Silver. Swipe picked up for Alliance. That can offer some nice clearing potential. Can take out one of the war leaders. The other will just survive effectively as a 3/3 because of the way that the aura going away works. But they can pretty easily clear off this board if they want. But at the same time, you don't necessarily want to take a passive turn here, just being a removal turn against a control deck. And this is one of the things that's powerful about the turn that G2 did take, is because it kind of demands an answer from Alliance. Because even if just one of these remains in play, it threatens future war leader, or rather bluegills coming out that are buffed.
They can trade off the board and play Ancient of War plus Living Roots to remove the Aldor Peacekeeper. If they trade 2-2 and 2-1 and 2-3 into one of the war leaders, and then 3-3 into the other, then Living Roots down the Aldor Peacekeeper, they can play Ancient of War. But it looks like they want to play the Jade Spirit again. So again, playing the Jades to try and set up for bigger future turns. And also in this situation, their 2-3 from the Jade Spirit survives. So they get to preserve that and keep that damage rolling. This is one of the situations where they're trying probably to bait out the AoE spells from G2.
And G2 does have the ability to clear. They have the Equality and Consecration. Will they use it though? Let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, we don't
Maybe
do it
even in 2
now.
turns.
We don't do it now, but I was thinking whether maybe attacking, re-equipping, and this Vika Flame is a better option.
Wicker Flame is not good on this board, right? Or is it?
I don't like Wicker Flame.
Yeah, probably not. Do the Ivory Knight, sure, why not?
Just Ivory Knight. But we might not Equality Conk next turn. It depends on what he does. We might just want to rag Light Lord and then Equality Conk in 2 turns.
Melody is not too bad, maybe.
Humility
Not
is
late now.
right, yeah. Humility is good.
Yeah, take it and play it on the 4-4.
Do we play it here?
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, you
I
don't
don't
want to
think-
play it?
No?
Move
Okay.
quickly.
Did you already pick?
I pick now. It's reasonable to play because the 4/4s.
Yeah, okay.
I think I will play it here.
Yes.
But then we go for the Rag Light Lord most of the time here.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see. It depends what he plays here.
If he plays 2 Jade.
Power seems pretty good here, right?
Ooh. Is it better than War? I think he can get away with not clearing if we don't play War. And also we have Aztec Nourish next turn.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you can just clear it with this weapon.
Yeah, but like Nourish first, then we can draw Idols and Blossoms and.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, war is never bad here.
I don't think we have to clear this 4/4. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think so either.
The only thing we can draw into it, like if we would Nourish here, is like Fandral Blossom. Then
Yeah, I mean, I
that
don't
is not
think-
something I'm interested in. So we all agree on Ancient War here.
Time waits
Yeah,
for
but
no
it's not
one.
gonna work, that should-
No, we don't.
No, not the upper.
How about trade?
Fizz.
No, we go face.
With right.
We leave the 4/4.
Only thing is, if we trade with Ivory Knight, then we're not healing full. We probably don't make the trade into the 1/2, right? To heal for 8. Otherwise, we have to risk off healing.
No, we should trade.
But we rack here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, how much
like
is
that.
it?
Because Equality Cons Vigil is like it kills 5 minions of him.
Does it not do it simply next turn as well?
Yeah. And they have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is if you attack through Silver into the 1/2, but I don't know if you do.
No,
need to.
never. Especially with Equality Cons in hand.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like,
They just don't have good ways to handle Light Lord, right? I mean,
They haven't. They are playing a mulch.
So a lot of interesting decisions going on there. Alliance, trying to balance pressure while also, trying to force the AoE. You could hear Osaka being like, well, if we nourish and, we don't remove it, it's not going to bait out AoE. It's just going to make him trade more, and then we're not really furthering our position in the game. So pretty cool to hear that line of thinking.
I also like the, do we do this? No, never.
No.
Never.
We simply do not.
And now Alliance, they're getting pretty deep in their deck. We see both Jade Idols picked up there. Not the point that they're going to be shuffling anything in, but those are key to having those big Jade generation turns, like you mentioned earlier. It does give you the ability to present a bunch of threats in a single turn after your opponent does burn a board clear.
Yeah, which is crucial for the reload. So Mulch going to go ahead and be used here on the Ragnaros Light Lord. And now, since they still haven't seen AoE, they're going to go ahead and summon another Jade Idol. Almost always, the first Jade Idol is used for a Golem, and the second one is used for Shuffle, especially on turn 1, because you never really want to shuffle, Jade Idols into your deck, because that, reduces the overall quality of your draw on average in the early game, which can hurt you in the long run, especially against faster decks.
All right, well, it is finally time for G2 to pull the trigger. Quality Consecration, wiping out the entire Alliance board. And there is a free Solemn Vigil, so see what that picks up first. And I would not be surprised to see a Doomsayer come down. With only 3 mana left over here for G2, they can try and lock out the Alliance turn.
Yeah. Lock out that reload, so then they can, basically have a free next turn. And is that a Streetwise Informant?
It is, yeah. He Battlecry of opposing minions lose stealth. Alliance can clear this. They have Azure Drake swipe Living Roots. They could take out the Doomsayer, though there is just a True Silver champion able to just kill their Azure Drake immediately if it when it hits the board. So they're also facing an opponent who's at just 12 health. Then again, a lot of healing in Paladin. So trying to save up burn is probably not going to be the road to victory here.
Yeah, the healing has become a little bit more limited, now that the deck has other tools that it wants to play, including Finja. It usually only runs, sometimes one copy of Forbidden Healing, and then the True Silvers most don't run. Lay on Hands, of course, runs Ragnaros Light Lord, which you saw the last turn in Ivory Knight.
Ivory Knight can be a huge burst of healing.
Can be a huge burst of healing, especially if you get anything. They're actually going to remove and develop a...
Yeah, they can play a Jade here. And it's big enough. It is, interestingly, their second Jade Idol. So they no longer have the ability to go infinite with Jade Idols. But more importantly, they are on the board with a minion. Oh, but that's a much bigger minion. Tyrion Fordring picked up for G2.
There's a possibility that they're not running Gadgetzan Auctioneer, which could be interesting. But let's go ahead and take a look at G2's thought process as we get through this turn.
I mean, we can trade with the Face and Bluegill and Tyrion.
Say, what do they do? What do they do if you do Wicca Flame, Doomsayer, and Forbidden Healing? What do they do then?
What can they do if they go Bluegill Tyrion and Face Tank? They cannot kill us, right?
No, sure, I don't mind, but
I really want Doomsayer. I really want Doomsayer.
Yeah, then Wicca Flame Doomsayer is great, right? Because Wicca Flame protects the Doomsayer very good, or not?
Yeah, it needs to take hero power, living roots. Yeah. But do we...
And Forbidden Healing, right? Yeah.
And then we don't attack with the weapon, right? I mean, if we Forbidden
It's okay, but I don't know, I like the other line a bit more, because like...
I like this a lot. No, I like this a lot, because this makes his turn total crap, Doomsayer.
Yeah, total crap, yeah, I agree.
Do anything. Can't clear that guy.
We could Drake, like a 4/4 is not doing anything in the face of True Silver Champion.
We don't have a swipe, right?
No,
we don't have
no
a swipe. We do have a...
It's
have a
Wrath
Wrath.
or Feral Ridge. Or Feral Ridge.
It's like 2 out of 11.
Yeah.
Wait,
I kind of like that. Like, you cycle.
wait, what? How are we
You
clear?
just Drake.
At Feral Ridge, we clear.
How do we clear?
We have blue roots.
Oh, wait.
Oh, no, we don't. With Wrath?
With Wrath we can clear.
No, we don't have
only
Wrath.
Wrath.
Yeah, it's all Wrath.
We have Wrath, but then again, I don't see what a
Cycle
Drake
Drake
is doing.
Cycle Drake either way. Don't hit or anything.
Just hero power.
It could roots for like 2 damage. No.
It goes off, so yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, we can even Vigil.
Yeah, we Vigil, right?
Yeah, Vigil.
Vigil for sure.
This is so sick.
Tyrion?
Tyrion for sure. We have to think about attacking.
I don't think we have to attack.
Why not? Why not? What do they do against Tyrion? Yeah, we just... okay, they go on 20 and we already pressure them very much. Yeah.
I like attacking too.
Yeah.
But are there minions left, like he played double Ezra Drake, right?
You can just re-equip if you want. I mean, we have so many weapon charges. How often do you want to...
And they're not gonna kill Tyrion because they used Munch, so just Tyrion and hit him in the face.
Okay.
G2 really is loving this Murloc Paladin.
Oh yeah, life coach, a little bit excited there. He's always fun to listen to when he's playing games like this, or even just watching games like this.
Do we Vigil? Yeah. Of course we Vigil. Jesus.
All right. Well, it is Auctioneer time, but as we noted earlier, the Jade Idols are gone from the deck. Both copies have been played, which means the Auctioneer can't quite go off in the sense that you just keep reshuffling and playing more and more Jades.
There's only a limited amount of Jade cards even left in the deck. There's the 1 Jade Behemoth. There's a single Jade Blossom left in the deck, and maybe an Eye of Blackpaw.
I don't believe we've seen Raven Idol from them at all.
Raven Idol we have not seen, so that could get Jade cards, but it's not guaranteed.
Right.
It's pretty likely since the Jade cards, quite heavily dilute the pool of Druid class cards.
We don't get spells. It's only Jade Idol that really matters.
Yeah, but and Jade Blossom.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. So, I'm just saying in terms of trying to actually go infinite.
Okay. Yeah, going infinite, Jade Idol, yeah. And the likelihood that you get a specific Druid spell was it like 9% or something like that?
It's quite low.
A single copy of one spell.
Yeah, I believe. I don't know. I know it was like 11% for Ivory Knight to Anyfin prior to the release of the new set.
Yeah, Druids have, I think, a few more spells, and then they got more spells on the new set. So less than 10, I think, is safe to say.
Yeah, so not great odds here, and see, Tice is just giggling, and Orange just has his head in his hands there. His hair's looking low.
It's super low right now. That is a good sign that Orange is slowly being defeated.
I think Tice just gave the thumbs up.
To us?
To the audience, maybe?
To the audience, yeah. He's showing the world how powerful Murloc Paladin can be in a vacuum.
All right, well, that Nourish dug for some powerful cards that don't really do much now. Fandral and Brand, both all-stars, but don't really have the tools that they need to get themselves out of this particular spot. And that's to say nothing of the fact that G2 just has anything can happen in hand.
Yeah, and Alliance is starting to run out of cards as well. We saw, 2 turns ago they had 11 remaining, so now they've drawn 4 since then. So 6 or 7 left in the deck, I believe, which, none of those cards are highly impactful. They probably have the Raven Idols and, a Jade Blossom, maybe an Eye of Blackball, as we mentioned. Things that can generate threats, but is that enough threat quickly enough to be able to get over this Murloc Paladin?
Well, they have slain Tyrion, but Ashbringer's still around to cause them some trouble. And they haven't actually seen all that many Murlocs yet, right? So this Anyfin is not terribly powerful.
It's only been... Oh, we've seen 2 War Leaders and 1
2
Bluegill?
War Leaders, 1 Bluegill?
I think so. There it is.
There they are. And yeah, this is not quite lethal damage, but it's not like Druid has a way to get out of this kind of situation. Needs to do 21 damage, and needs to come back from this board.
Yeah.
I think this Paladin is just going all the way.
It's going all the way. 6-0 potential here for G2. I don't see a way out of this. Alliance concedes, and G2... Tice, another celebration. Now 4-0 with the Murloc Paladin against this lineup from Alliance.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. This is obviously week 1 of Trinity Series, and this is the first time these players have had to build lineups for this, decide pick orders for this format. And I wonder if this result will inform players future lineups, future decisions. Maybe you got to have some more in your lineup that can handle Anyfin Paladin.
A little more aggro, perhaps, to handle this deck. But there you can see G2 now with 4 wins. They just have to win twice more in order to secure the win for the match.
And they have all their decks left.
Every single one, which means even if they lose this next match with Murloc Paladin, they have a choice of 5 decks to counter whatever they're going to go up against. So G2 is a heavy favorite moving into the remaining portion of this match. And there's Alliance.
It's just Warrior and Priest remaining. I have to imagine at this point, this is a Control Warrior. There's no way that they've been just holding Pirate Warrior in their pocket, waiting, okay, now he has to beat every deck of the opposing team.
Yeah, because both Pirate Warrior and sort of that Dragon Warrior with the Pirate package are both, fairly good against Murloc Paladin. If it is Pirate Warrior, then maybe they made an error by not putting it earlier to try and counter this Paladin, but they definitely have their work cut out for them because they still have to win 6 matches with just those 2 remaining decks with the Warrior and the Priest.
Yeah, and traditionally, Priest has been pretty bad against decks like Anything Can Happen combo. Whether you're a Reno Priest, it's not like you're a Reno Mage and you have access to Ice Block to guarantee you get a sort of breathing turn. You do have access to Entomb, perhaps, if you are that Reno Priest. But again, Entomb is just 1 card in your deck. It's generally just worse than, say, Polymorph out of Reno Mage, too.
Yeah, even if you steal cards, like say you use like Potion of Badness,
they're still coming back.
They're still coming back. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter whether they die on your side of the board or their side of the board. Same thing if you get like a crazy Sylvanas steal or something along those lines. You can make crazy things happen with Tyrion. If you can Sylvanas, Shadow Word Death, a Tyrion, something along those lines. But since there's only really 2 Shadow Word Death targets in the deck, unless the Murlocs are buffed, so you don't really have too many. but you have to sort of get cute in that matchup too.
And even if it's Dragon Priest, which is probably the more common version of Priest, that is a deck that has Draconite Operative, and the ability to steal anything can happen, can absolutely steal games in that matchup.
All right, well, we're going to take a small break while we get set up for game number 5, but don't go anywhere, guys. More Hearthstone Trinity Series continues right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Trinity Series. My name's Jay, joined by Brian Kibler. I like to think that that's the music that plays in my head every time I'm trying to spot lethal.
Does it, though? You like to think it does?
I wish
only you can know that.
Well, no.
How could I know that? How could I know the music that plays in your head?
Protagonist in a movie that had a director that I wasn't familiar with. What music would he play in a scene where I was trying to spot
if
lethal?
you'd said in a movie, that's different.
It was implied, Brian Kibler.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
All right, well, we are into the game number 5 here. G2 just needing those 6 total wins, already 4 up. And it is Dragon Pirate Warrior here.
Huh.
This is very interesting, and maybe this is a little bit slower version. We did see the Curator in the hand for Osaka during the mulligan that he did send back. So perhaps the feeling is that this slower list might be better suited to try and beat something else. But I'm pretty surprised they put Jade Druid up against this Anyfin deck before this.
Yeah, if this is the lineup that, or if this is the deck that Orange played in his run through WSG, where he took 2nd place last week, this has 1 copy of Execute with Rag and Curator. So, double Fierce Monkey, double Frothing Berserker as the 3 drops, and also double Draconid Crusher. So this deck actually, I would say, does really well against, the more control-style decks because of the fact that it's got, exceptional reload, still has that early Pirate package to put on pressure, and also has some of those big threats later on, like Ragnaros the Firelord and the Draconid Crushers, to really, finish the game and drive it home. But let's go ahead and take a listen to Alliance to get their thoughts on this Dragon Warrior deck.
Warwick's here. Rather than have it like a 1-2 in play with no other weapon. Or
it makes sense to hit with small turn.
Are you sure?
I mean, I think it's close.
Like, I'm thinking the line where true silvers are falling and...
Yeah, I would still rather have a Barex in play than a 1-2. Even if he...
Sure. And we always push Frozen. The question is if we hit. I'm not sure.
I think it's with small time.
I would tend to agree that it's with small time.
Or X4.
No, because they think that the 1-2 is useless if they don't have any other weapons.
Yeah.
That's what they think. But yeah.
Yeah, true silver. Like, this is the card you need. This is the card you need. Without true silver, oh. But what are they not playing? If they play a Ghoul and Execute, a Slam. They play double Crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
should I tell you the whole deck?
Yes.
Womp womp.
I know that feel. I know that feel. Playing your dragon buffed card with no dragon. I think that you should just get, a free one each game. It's the first thing you play is just buffed.
Yeah.
I should at least.
just you.
It was
Kibler.
really, it must have been really, really sad for Alliance to pick up that N'Zoth's first mate right after deciding to trade off the Buccaneer and save that War Axe. Now they have a War Axe that doesn't really do that much. They lost their Buccaneer. And they found no dragon. So it was the saddest draw of the entire deck. Oh, God, there's the next saddest. The next turn.
This is quite rough. But RDU, he picked up on it right away. He said, they traded a small-time Buccaneer because they don't have another weapon.
Right.
And they think a 1-2 is more useless than a charge of a Fire War Axe. So they did get quite a bit of information, prior to this, these 2 draws. Alliance didn't have a weapon, and now they realize that they also don't have a dragon. So
it's interesting. I'm trying to like look back at that last turn, and what are the draws that make playing the the way that they did better than the other way? In the situation that they're that might come up from their opponent. Like, what is their opponent going to play that they really want to War Axe against in this Murloc Paladin deck versus how many draws you make bad by holding on to your War Axe. And just the fact that, if you do draw those cards, you're really, really weak if your opponent does have exactly what they said, the True Silver Champion to kill your weapon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have 3 additional weapons in the deck, so they would have had 2 N'Zoth's first mates plus a Fire War Axe. And then, yeah, I don't know what, draw could possibly, maybe a second war leader. Who knows, though?
Yeah, and G2 here, they have a lot of options remaining in their hand. The Equality Consecration still definitely not going to use that on this board. They do have the Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, which is pretty good as a defensive measure in a lot of spots, but not quite as powerful with these 2 1/1s on the board. Can easily break the Divine Shield. The funny thing is that Alliance's board is actually just so weak that G2 doesn't want to use any of their good removal here. Consecration itself could clear. They could just Consecration, use the True Silver Champion, and then follow up with just a hero power. It's just going to be Wicker Flame Burn Bristle coming down, though, and just a hero power. So, as we mentioned, the Alliance board can very, very easily deal with Wicker Flame here. Another sad Alex Strauss champion off the top, but Curator is going to let them reload and finally get another dragon here.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why this deck becomes strong is because they're always playing big stuff. They're always playing threats, and it forces the Paladin to have removal turn after turn after turn. They never really get to a point where they can, play anything safely, just because of the fact that, they always have stuff. They have to use the first one to remove and hope they have the second one that can kill, which takes some time to get to, time which, an aggressive Dragon Warrior doesn't necessarily give them.
Yeah, and this is an interesting choice of exactly how he wants to send in the attacks. He does have the War Axe remaining with both charges, so can preserve the minions on the board if he so chooses. And now he must choose. The rope is burning.
Giving him the heal.
Didn't really have any way not to give him the heal there.
Yeah, ignore it. Give him the heal anyway, just over the next course. Give the next 2 turns.
The boot.
Yeah. All right. So Barnes picked up. Tyrion's still left in the deck, so could pick up Tyrion as sort of, the nuts. Barnes plays. Another Murloc would be pretty good too.
The minion-based juice. It's like definitely not vegan.
What would the minion-based juice be?
Oh, it is a... Oh, for a second I thought it was a war leader, but no, it's a bluegill here. He can use the bluegill in his hand along with that bluegill to clear off a lot of the board here with the True Silver. True Silver plus the full-strength bluegill can clear Curator. Then the 1/1 can take down the N'Zoth's first mate. And because of Alliance's little stutter start, while he is playing big things turn after turn, G2 has a lot of life to work with, a lot of resources overall to work with it, and hasn't just been under enough pressure for something like, say, that Crusher that Osaka just picked up to really be a huge threat.
Yeah. G2 is running a little bit thin on cards. They didn't get the card draw that they wanted early on. No Solemn Vigil, but can still pick one up after for one of those board clears. So, still not in a great spot. But G2, getting a bluegill warrior from Barnes actually is pretty good because, it leans your anything can happens more towards charge minions, which are usually what you want. Because, the heavier weight you have on charge minions, usually the more damage you deal.
Well, it's even in this particular matchup, too, against more aggressive decks, you want your Anyfins to be removal. You want your Anyfins to be able to have an immediate impact, not necessarily just kill your opponent, but be able to do something to clear their board, at least the first one. And having access to additional bluegills is crucial for that.
Yep. All right, so we're going to go clear off the Barns and then apply a little bit more pressure. Let's get a listen into G2's thought process as we move through this next turn.
Like this. Oh, man.
Do you want to keep the equality for the Ram?
Yeah.
But can we?
You want to pyro equality this or what?
Like if we pass here, he's not gonna play Rack. Or we are already at 9, at
we don't
5 lives.
We can just Vigil and then like Aldor if we don't draw anything.
I don't mind it. Is it so bad to play Skin Vigil here? You don't want to clear this? No.
I like Vigil, but maybe we have to play Aldor too to make them play Rag. Because we still have the equality conk if they play Draconic, and we have more time if they play Draconic.
Yeah, and Aldor.
Aldor,
Yeah, Aldor.
Right?
Follow the rule.
Yeah, I like this. Because now you force them to extend, and then you can clear.
Yeah, I like it too because our hand was also so low value. You cannot just clear there. If we clear and we break, we are completely done. Then
Right, but do we trade the Azure or the... Like, do
We trade Asher and 2-1, right?
Yes.
What now?
I like that.
I like that too.
One off.
It's gonna that's gonna force out an equality out of them.
Slime Draconid is 1-off.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the reg. Then we're gonna play an 9/9 Draconid, and they used one Alder and an equality already.
Yeah, and we can protect the 9/9 with the Fierce Monkey, so they can't actually attack with both the bluegills into it.
So the options are equality cons War Leader or Pyro equality.
War Leader.
I want to play War Leader, man. We have 4 Murlocs now. If we
Yeah, we play War Leader for sure. But what? Do we equality conk or do we pyro equality?
it's always Pyro equality, right? The consecration is better than the Pyro without spells. So
yeah,
it's always.
it normally is like that. If you don't have the second one, it normally is like that. Is the hero power relevant? I mean,
yeah, you do it because if it's for free. I mean, sure.
What relevant?
like the only extra thing we get is the hero power. So, but yeah, like we have the cons in hand. It can be better. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, let's
Just do it. We are pretty low on health, but
they cannot finish.
They have to finish.
They don't have Grommash in the deck.
Wreck is their finish, right?
They use both fire war axes too. So like as long as
They
we
have
can.
they have Korkans and 1 Electrosh champion.
Yeah.
Well, they do have Draconid Crushers, which can be pretty big 9/9s. But Alliance's plan last turn, thinking that if they can Crusher this turn and G2 wouldn't be able to attack in with their 2 bluegills, doesn't really factor in what if they have an equality clear plus a war leader.
Yeah, definitely making things a lot more complicated for Alliance. The Crusher can come down. They will have it, marginally protected, but still, there's the 2 bluegills that will be coming back. I think that still prevents the Crusher from getting killed, right? If there's the monkey, actually it just dies to these, but there's another war leader, right?
This is their last.
Yeah,
Murloc.
it's the last Murloc. So yeah, they'd be able to clear off the Crusher, and yeah, that's pretty bad for Alliance.
Yeah, and they'd still have 2 Murlocs left over, as well as a hero power. They'd have those 2 war leaders, even though one would be damaged. So Finley going for first. Life tap, Dagger Mastery, Fire Blast. And Fire Blast it is. Dagger Mastery, more sufficient damage, but it also at the cost of health sometimes.
All right, well, they're going to clear off that Murloc, but it's going to come back. We see the anything can happen is available here, and as you mentioned earlier, the fact that they did get that bluegill off of the Barns is a really big deal because it makes this into a really potent board clear with the extra charge minion.
Yeah. All right, so Anyfin definitely slated here. And those 2 war leaders are going to pose quite a bit of a problem for Alliance. And even though G2 is quite low on health, with True Silver plus Ivernite, and definitely still have a good chance in this game.
Yeah, they do have the execute. You can potentially have, say, ping execute plus Crusher. They could, Korkan. Korkan doesn't really accomplish a ton. They could clear both of these guys if they wanted to. If they wanted to use all of their sort of resources to clear the board this turn, they have the execute and the Korkan to take out both of these war leaders. But at the same time, they really want to get pressure going. They really want to try to just get a hit in with that Crusher. You can even imagine just seeing Slam rather than the ping to draw a card. Yeah, we're going to see Slam in here, and then there is the possibility of that execute. Ooh, a champion picked up. That means they could either champion or Crusher, or execute to clear this. I imagine they just use the execute, play the Crusher. Next turn they could potentially represent lethal if these aren't cleared, if the Crusher just doesn't get taken down.
Yeah.
They could just send both things to the face, just hit you in the face for 7, and execute your guy. But yeah, I think we're going to see the Crusher come down, and the not even going to bother with the execute, just going to remove with his board.
All right, well, G2 is going to have some interesting decisions to make here should they not pick up any Finn, so let's go ahead and take a listen.
We can kill it if we want, with like Consecration, Bluegill, and trade the Morlocks.
Why it's expensive?
We can go. Is Ivory Knight?
How expensive is it? We can also keep the True Silver.
I mean, you only have 1/1 on board then, or what?
Maybe we just go for low hero power then. But I don't know, if we go for Ivory Knight and we miss, we can lose the game.
How hard do we have to miss?
I mean, what do you have to get? You want humidity or what?
Yeah, equality or a big heal, like heal for more than 5. Or do you want to go... I don't mind cons.
I also don't mind Consecration, we can do that. It's also about their threats. I mean, they are just running out of threats, right?
But do we True Silver or do we hero power?
I will say True Silver for 4 mana. We don't trade it.
But you take the face with the True Silver.
You think so?
Yes. You don't tank 2 minions. You will never tank.
No, but do we attack at all?
Yeah, attack the face.
Yeah, attack is fine.
He has 3. He can still burst us down if he got these 3 guys. You will never use this weapon to kill 2 minions. Never.
4-2-1 ping.
Yeah.
Play it all.
For the war chief!
Who goes there? For the life binder.
Ping face. No.
No,
No.
you can go.
It's just 1 cons. Yeah.
Is this going to be the game that the Anyfin Paladin finally goes down?
I don't know. This Ivory Knight is going to be huge. That's a miss.
Forbidden healing that can heal him for 8 life. The noble sacrifice could heal a little bit effectively with the sacrifice effect and the 1. But this is definitely a rough spot. You know, G2's pretty much out of resources here, and
But so is Alliance.
Alliance is definitely low on resources, but actually has the board and the life total advantage.
So Forbidden Healing, if they pick that up, it obviously gives the information advantage. They can still play Aldor Peacekeeper to try and reduce some damage, and then heal up next turn. If they don't pick up, anything can happen. Because anything can happen at any stage of the game now is guaranteed over 30 damage.
Yes, yeah.
Because they've had a lot of Bluegill side. Everyone is over 30 damage.
They can use the True Silver to take down the 2/3 this turn, potentially. Interestingly, I wonder, G2 chose to hold on to, or rather to use the True Silver last turn to get the swing on it. Life Coach saying, you're definitely not going to hit 2 minions with it. Well, having picked up Forbidden Healing, it could actually end up being a really big deal if they get the extra swing to kill a minion. We do see the Slam Execute available for Alliance, and then N'Zoth the First Mate picked up. So you can actually just kill both these minions and send that sort of dopey board they have remaining in for the kill. Though the Forbidden Healing, of course, is huge because it does mean that these small minions that are relatively low impact are not going to be likely to end the game anytime soon.
Well, Cork on the lead picked up pretty good. It's a reasonably sized minion that provides face damage right now.
They don't quite have lethal. They have 8 damage, 9 damage available, right? Are they actually 1 off? They have 3 plus. Yeah, we're 1 off lethal with the N'Zoth First Mate and a ping with the weapon hit. So they can literally hit for 9 this turn.
I think they need to spend 1 of that damage to clear off.
They're going to have to now, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a very good chance that we actually see just the execute maybe on the 4/4 because you need to protect this board.
Because this is what you got to work with for the rest of the game. It feels working off the top of your deck with Dragon Warrior. It's not necessarily the best feeling considering a lot of the cards in your deck have synergies. Which may not necessarily be effective if they're coming from the top of your head.
And 1 off lethal into this Forbidden Heal. Oh no, but there's the Anyfin.
There it is.
We spoke too soon.
Oh my goodness.
Anyfin is going to happen once again.
It's guaranteed 30 damage, I feel. Even if you get 5 Bluegills, which 5 Bluegills have died this game, and 1 War Leader, it is still enough damage. Well, I mean, from... Yeah.
And that is 5 wins in a row from the Paladins. Look at Tice. Look at how excited he is. He doesn't need teammates. Man. He's just doing this by himself.
Jeez.
Granted, he's getting input from Life Coach at RDU. They are playing as a team, even if Tice is the pilot of these decks. But, you know, was this what anyone thought would happen today? That nope. Paladin's going to come out and just sweep everything? I predicted it. I jokingly predicted that I wanted to see it. Now it's just happening.
Now it's a real prediction. Went from a joke prediction to a real prediction. But yeah, with that, G2 takes a 5-0 lead, so 1 more win is all they have to get. And they have 6 opportunities. They can...
They have to beat Priest.
Yeah,
one of these decks has to beat a Priest.
I think they can handle it with one of those decks. And not only that, they get to choose, even if they lose, the next deck that can go up against it. And now, Powder and, of course, the rest of Alliance have their work cut out for them because that Lonely Priest, whether it be Dragon Priest, Reno Priest, you know, whatever Priest, OTK Priest, if they're going that way, it's got to beat all 6 decks from G2 if Alliance wants to win.
I'm still just really surprised by the deck selection of Alliance, that it took them so long to bring out that Warrior against the Paladin there, because you know it's clearly an aggressive Warrior deck, and you know they had a lot of windows in that game that they could have closed things out. They were in the end 1 damage off lethal in that last turn, and if things just hadn't gone a little bit poorly for them in the early turns, didn't have a second dragon, they ended up saving their weapon, then drawing weapon after weapon, and they definitely could have taken it out.
Yeah, maybe a few different decisions, but maybe also not giving Tice more practice on the Murloc Paladin.
He's playtested so much.
Trying to beat it earlier. He's played more games of Murloc Paladin than people have played on ladder in the last month, in this tournament alone. But yeah, definitely an impressive showing for them. And it goes to show you guys, what can happen when, Shaman and Rogue are taken off the table, 2 of, the natural predators. But during this mulligan phase, let's go ahead and take a listen into what G2's going through their head.
So we keep them here. And mulligan the other 2.
He's good, right?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah. If he comes...
You don't have targets, like they have like high HP on their minions, but if you have Trucida or anything, you can kill them.
They cannot
kill.
They can never kill it in stealth, and if it survives, they cannot even handle him very well. I mean, sure. Guys, it's very important to find out whether it's Reno Priest or Dragon Priest, first of all.
I will count on Dragon Priest. I think I'm the only guy that plays Reno Priest.
Don't be too sure about that.
They kept the wall hands.
Yeah, but we have the nuts too.
No, but what will they say? What do they keep? Twilight. They keep Dragon Operative. They keep maybe in 1 mana Dragon.
They keep definitely also the buffer. They keep the buffer. They keep also the 2/3 dragons. So we can expect.
But will they ever keep Pain?
Pain, maybe. If they already have a good hand, they can keep 1 Pain, but it's whatever.
I mean for Acolyte it's also good. It's not it's a good card against Doomsayer and so.
Only Doomsayer if they play Opinion, right?
I think we Doomsayer at turn 3. I think we often go ooh.
Yeah, we can Doomsayer at turn 3.
We are passing here. We are not hero powering, right? Or...
No, we are pass.
Yeah, just pass.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, obviously. It's either pass or Doomsayer. You never play hero power.
Pass and then turn 3.
Tice, I play Reno Priest. I mean, I play Reno Shadow Priest.
But, little different.
And I don't play it in tournaments for a $150,000 prize pool, but...
Yeah, and you can see G2 making the decision here to go with the turn 3 Doomsayer, not hero powering on turn 2 to prevent giving Alliance a free draw from the Northshire Cleric. And going into turn 3, aside from the Shadow of Pain like they were talking about, not really a way to kill off the Doomsayer.
Yeah, I generally like when I'm playing against Dragon Priest to wait until turn 3 for Doomsayer, specifically because it does... tax their plays as much as possible, rather than taxing their their 2-minute play. You tax their 3-minute play, and they like you mentioned, they only really have Shadow of Pain that matters. It's not like they can Flame Tongue Totem, and do enough damage to kill it or anything like that.
Yeah. So also they were mentioning, we have the nuts. They had the Finja, the Doomsayer, and anything can happen. which even though it's a 10-minute card, it's always good to know that you have one at some point, especially if you're playing a slower deck. And of course, they drew the True Silver Champion off the top.
And Alliance with the Netherspite Historian. In this matchup, you're generally looking to find operatives, simply because you want to try and get as many shots at your opponent's anything can happens in order to give you a chance to win the game. From G2's perspective, actually, having that anything can happen in their hand, it's not just about having the guarantee that you'll draw it in the game. You also reduce the chance your opponent discovers it from your deck.
Which is a pretty big deal. Oh, well, there's a Draconid Operative, also a Deathwing, which can also be something that can be a game saver in a Murloc Paladin matchup.
Yeah, it can. Though at the same time, you're playing against a deck that has equalities and Aldor Peacekeepers and all this stuff that can easily deal with your Deathwing. If your opponent, anything happens, like sort of out of desperation, yeah, Deathwing can be great. But I'd much rather be in a situation where you are threatening to kill them back with Draconid Operative getting you and anything out of their deck.
Yeah. So Solemn Vigils cost 1, so they can't play True Silver Champion along with this. But they can dig a little bit deeper into their deck. And okay,
send in the Bluegills. Get the Murlocs going right away.
Yeah.
And Alliance, well, there's a Shadow of Pain right after Doomsayer goes off. You see a little bit of a smirk from Powder there. Story of my life, really.
Shadow of Pain, the turn after you need it.
I was actually joking. There's one day where I was playing on ladder, and all my draws were basically just the worst possible draw. I was joking that I was playing a reverse Clockwork Card Dealer, that I just drew the card that was 1 mana less than my current turn.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a listen into G2 and see what their plans are with this Finja.
Right.
Ninja, take face.
Yeah.
2 more in the face.
And you also force the trade by attacking face.
Yes.
Nothing
Yeah,
else.
not even with. It's like, yeah.
Hey, Tyrion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other ones are really bad, right?
Yep.
Aldor's never worth it, right?
Nope.
Now we trade.
Good talk. Yes. Yeah.
Trade.
We don't want to get punished by War Leader.
Well, don't want to get punished by War Leader. Turns out, there's a War Leader. A little bit awkward now since War Leader doesn't allow Finja to kill off either of these minions. They can use True Silver Champion.
Yep.
To do that, but True Silver Champion's, the Finja is guaranteed to pull 1 Bluegill, 1 War Leader, which again doesn't let them trade into any of these minions. It's a little bit of an awkward health point for both of these.
Yeah, the 4-2 charge guaranteed to get would not really be all that impressive here. There is the option to just Aldor one of these. Maybe you can even Aldor one of these, play the War Leader, and just kind of pass. You wouldn't get any value off your Finja here. You're potentially just sort of kind of setting up for your next attack and then the Anyfin. But it looks like G2 is going to go with the...
I like True Silver Hero Power.
True Silver Hero Power and nothing? No attack?
Because next turn you can play War Leader, which will, buff the Finja and buff the Murlocs that come out. Well, they're going to actually make the attack here. Okay. Maybe worried about Dragonfire Potion?
Oh, it does keeps the Finja alive.
Oh, it keeps the Finja alive. That's right.
The fact that he attacked the 4-attack thing specifically does mean that Finja survives that attack.
Yeah, we brought up that interaction earlier on.
And then just promptly forgot it as soon as it was relevant on the stream.
Yeah.
No problem.
There we go. All right, let's take a listen into Alliance to see what they're thinking about going through this turn.
That works, huh?
I mean, we always...
Yeah. You learn something new every day.
We always pin that guy.
Yes.
We always trade with the Finja.
Oh, sick of tired of that card. And then we probably play Vermis
I
double.
don't hate playing Twilight.
I think we need to.
Saving a taunt is kind of useful.
I see another pretty powerful taunt in our hand, Tyrion. So
yeah, I mean, that's another.
I think we just play all of it, or like.
No, we never play all of it. We don't play around into Consecrate like that.
So then I think it's just double Twilight while peel.
I don't think it doesn't have to do anything every night and still clear operative then.
But we heal our operative.
Yeah, with the blue.
Yeah, but you can clear it with bluegills. I like playing all the things.
I was gonna say heal taunt, but like the thing is, taunt doesn't matter against anything because you don't have a board clear. So
Yeah, it's true.
it's not about anything being lethal. It's just about the Murlocs even being on the board.
I guess.
I want a war leader. Yeah, we.
If you are leader, you take less damage.
You could just pick up them consecration, right?
But then you have to also play war leader later, right? So can't you just play weaker flame later?
Better or weaker flame also restores health.
We can also play war leader, cons, just trade the 4-2 into the operative.
Oh, and keep the charge. I like this. I like this. I like this very much. Yeah, let's do.
And then trade 1-1 in, then the 2, there isn't 2-1. But that's fine, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't matter.
Move quickly.
We don't trade this, right? Or do we? It's
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I like this play. This play is probably the best. Because you wanna play weaker flame anyways later, right? I mean,
they got a card from us. What can it be? Is it anything or another one?
Why don't we get
Wait, isn't double Tyrion just pretty nutty?
double Tyrion? Is pretty good.
Is it
I mean, it's better than
yeah, it's better than Light Lord, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Do we
then
play
I think
taunt?
we must,
Taunt.
yeah.
Yeah, we play the taunt, right?
Yes.
Are you
Go face.
mocking me?
Yep.
Double Tyrions all the way across the sky.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Actually, so.
Don't you love when you play games? I actually played a game where I was playing Reno Mage against Dragon Priest, and they played 2 Medivhs from my deck and my Kazakus, and had drawn enough of their duplicates so that they could just activate Kazakus. I drew neither of those cards in the entire game. It went forever. They used every charge of both Atieshes. Like, oh, that's fun.
Kim, I've known you long enough to know when you start a sentence with, "Don't you love when you're playing?" And
that maybe,
because then I know
maybe
that
that's
situation
not exactly.
has never happened to me before. And probably many Hearthstone players it's never happened to before as well. But I'm glad that you're having
I play
such
a lot of
unique
Hearthstone.
experiences.
I play a lot of Hearthstone. Things come up,
Yeah.
But in this game, it's looking, there's a lot of power on both sides of the boards, frankly. We did see that second Tyrion come up for Alliance, and as they mentioned, the threat of anything isn't just the threat of getting themselves killed. The threat is there's just a bunch of Murlocs in play that they can't really deal with. Mm-hmm. We've actually seen a lot of Dragon Priest decks shy away from playing Dragonfire Potion because it's just so slow against the aggressive decks. And against many of the mid-range decks, the mid-range minions that you're dealing with are things like Azure Drake anyway. Mm-hmm. That you can't really remove with Dragonfire Potion. So I wouldn't be surprised to see no copies of Dragonfire Potion in Alliance's list. We have not seen them draw one. So just the board presence of the Murlocs, even if they are not immediately lethal, is really tough for them to deal with.
Yeah, and so G2 here, they can pretty easily get to this Tyrion, especially with a True Silver in their hand. They can even preserve their 2/3 attack minions and let those go into face. They can even preserve health by Aldar Peacekeepering, attacking in the 1/1, and then playing True Silver, so they even end up healing for 1. So still mounting pressure. And even though Tyrion's a great card, it's very expensive in a Dragon Priest deck that wants to be taking control of the board. Usually remove a minion, build a minion each turn. And now they're really just building a minion.
I think the debate in G2's side right now is exactly how to clear this, because they could attack their Wicker Flame Burn Bristle in, but that does leave it vulnerable to the one attack of the Draconite Operative on the board. If they use one of their other minions, then they are able to have a taunt that can't be killed on board waiting. But they are going to just go ahead and get the most damage they can to face this turn. They do have the threat of anything can happen in hand, and that True Silver waiting, so they're able to push a lot of damage right after this.
Yeah, so it's the first Anyfin, and all 4 Murlocs have died. So currently it's 12 damage from hand, given an empty board state. if that Murloc War Leader that's on board were to die. But Alliance has some tough decisions ahead of them to try and maneuver around this anyfin, so let's go ahead and see what they're talking about.
Corruptor Vermist Heal.
I think we want to play
And like to try to clear a little bit more before we play the Tyrion.
Yeah, I guess. I guess we just play like they don't have anything.
Do we need to heal?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I think we play Nether Spite. I think we play these for them. So we hit, kill, kill.
Nether
play
Spite
these.
first.
Yeah.
But I don't think we play anything.
Nefarian.
Yep. Nefarian into anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those players.
I wield the power of black. Are you mocking me?
Slots.
Yeah,
We have, and then we have it, guys.
it's 0. Holy shit.
It's freaking lethal. Bomb! Yes! Anything can happen. And so anything can happen. Anything can happen. Yeah, anything can happen. Oh my god. Oh my. This is insane.
Hey, Tice,
Yeah?
are you okay with an interview?
Yeah, sure, but shall we do it? Not with
Well, that was impressive.
That was quite the performance there from that Murloc Paladin deck played by Tice. Yeah, that was just ran roughshod over so many of the decks that Alliance brought. Some of those matches didn't even seem close.
No, especially some of the ones that Murloc Paladin should traditionally be favored in. It really they drove it home and really showed us why they're favored in those particular matchups.
And, I mean, we saw the Murloc Paladin mirror match, the very first game of the day. Is that what's going to be defining the Trinity Series moving forward?
Who
can win with Murloc Paladin?
Well, in future weeks, maybe people are going to adjust. We have another match coming up right after this one that will tell us a lot more, I feel, about the current state of the Trinity Series meta, since we only have a one-game sample size. But there you can see the match score, 6-0 for G2 over Alliance, all with the Murloc Paladin, a clean sweep of it.
Putting the hammer down again and again and again.
Yeah. All right, but we do have an interview with the player from the winning team.
The one player.
The one player
played
from the
in the
winning team. It's Tice from G2. Hey, Tice, can you hear us?
I hear you perfectly.
Man, I don't even know where to begin here. How does it feel winning 6-0 with Murloc Paladin, of all things?
I don't know where to begin either with that. Yeah, I guess we knew anything can happen. Paladin will be really strong with the 2 bans we had, so we definitely considered it as one of the better decks in this format, but that we will sweep 6-0, we will never think that could happen.
So walk us through the decision you made with your opening deck. You chose Murloc Paladin as your deck to lead with. In Last Hero Standing, the deck that you lead with is a pretty big deal. So talk to us a little bit about what was your thought process behind leading with that deck.
Well, our thought process behind that was that there were not really matchups we covered that well with anything can happen. We considered a lot of matchups being a little favorite for us, that we didn't really... We had better counter picks, and this was a good opener. We couldn't really go wrong with it either. And it just felt an overall strong deck, and yeah, we just wanted to give it a try. And yeah, sometimes a deck can just keep rolling, and that was pretty amazing.
Go ahead.
Were you all surprised by the deck selection that Alliance chose to go up against your Murloc Paladin deck? They saved their aggressive warrior deck, for instance, until very late, which we had thought they might bring out much earlier.
A little surprised. Also, the directly pick from the Warlock was a little surprising, of picking Warlock as second, where we were just super happy with. The Dragon, because we expected a Dragon variant, it is a little weaker against it, so we could see them not wanting the Warrior badly, but yeah, it was a little... they could have picked it 1 or 2 matches earlier, maybe. But yeah, it was at the end... The Druid, we thought might also come up a little bit earlier, but there were some close calls. We also don't know what their tech decisions were, what they exactly have led for our other decks. So yeah, was not too surprising maybe.
So how did the teamwork aspect play into it? We got a chance to listen in a few times. How did it feel being able to actually collaborate with your team? Was it tough to actually come to a conclusion, or did you really like having sort of the help of your two other teammates?
My teammates helped me insane. Like, just to be clear, this was not just my victory. This was the team victory, and we had some really specific roles. We are really there is one player playing, but there is another one really coaching. So you have a one-to-one conversation, and the third player is more the analyzer during the game. That is really just getting in there to spot when there are really many things like this is really important. We should talk about, but not three. When you're talking with three, it can become also really chaotic. That we didn't want too much of that, and we had so specific decks everybody is a little bit more known with and less known with. I also have that, so I was like, yeah, these decks, maybe it's better that you two make the main decisions, and I will just come in when I think it might be important. And that was a little bit the structure we did it for this tournament.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure to watch your performance in week number 1. So congratulations on your win, and good luck next week. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, we have one more match on the day today. But before we jump into that match, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings, just so you guys can get a better idea of the teams that are going to be participating. There with G2's win, the first match win of the tournament, they'll solidify first, and of course, Alliance down there at the bottom. Coming up next is Tempo Storm taking on Virtus Pro. So we'll see which one of those teams is going to join G2 and which one is going to fall down to Alliance to try and battle it back. But talking a little bit more about Tempo Storm and Virtus Pro,